Mm-hmm. 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 Doot. And go to live and boop. Pop out a chat. And pop out this chat. Hey, Sephi, what's up? How's it going? Yeah. No, I just need to wait for the whole crew today. Whole crew today. Yep. It's going to be all three of us. At least that's the plan. I just waiting for them to show up within the next couple minutes, but sometimes they can be a little late, but it's fine. I always have to start setting all of this up kind of early just to make sure everything is running. Ooh. Let's see, make sure I got other stuff set up. Yep. All right. Should be good. Oh, there's one. Sup, Squid? You know? He might still be setting some stuff up. That's my guess anyway. Y'all are going. Hey, what's up? Gonna be my moving background noise while I pack. Alright. Where you going? Where you going, Sephi? Oh, Squid. I had my own vitamin D test results today.
Oh, nice.
I was at 14.
Oh, I win by 1.
Yep, you had one higher than me.
We stay with. Oh, second. I hate this video. This video is so fucking terrible.
Oh, you've seen this?
Yeah. Well, I was like, let me go watch. Like probably the biggest guy who's talked about Christian nationalism.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I came in though like half knowing it was gonna be a hate watch because Second Thought runs the Deprogram podcast where he promotes Marxist-Leninism.
Oh, okay. So he's like, he's leftist.
Yeah, fuck this guy. He wants to shoot me in the head, so he can go,
All right. Well, I can always pick a different one.
No, let's watch it. It's okay. I have a lot to say. Like it's perfectly acceptable to watch this video.
Oh,
the second half is the second half is very dumb because did I tell you where he brings on a Christian guy, but it's like the one Christian communist with 40 subscribers. And like
what the Second Thought guy does.
Yeah, he does. He literally found the one Christian guy who's also a communist.
Well, there was like another video I saw that definitely wasn't as popular, but
yeah, this is the most popular one, so it is good to watch. But
it was this guy, the New Evangelicals, and he's explaining why Christian nationalism is the greatest threat. I don't know what it means by New Evangelicals.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah.
I mean, it probably is. I don't know. Even after writing my script, I'm still down to be like, is it the greatest? Like, I don't know. It's pretty bad, but
I mean, I think up there.
Yeah, well, it's definitely when you think about how it has such like outsized impact on like red states, how that would affect the Senate. That would definitely be like my strongest argument for why it's like a massive threat. Because you could still say like, oh, well, as a proportion of the population, 1 in 10 is big and will affect the electorate, but like not to such an extent that they'll win. But then when you're like, oh, well, you know, I think Utah is the red state with the lowest amount of Christian nationalists, and it's still like 30%. So if you are like the majority of red states, where it's somewhere between like 40 and 50, that basically means like one of your two senators has to be a Christian nationalist.
It wasn't that many, percentage wise, I didn't think. Like in Virginia, I think it was like 23% or something, which, we're more so a blue state, but
yeah, any blue state is like 20 or lower. But like red states, it's like the majority are like 40 plus. Like Texas was like
that's also like sympathizers, not people who identify as Christian national, right? Or
yeah, it was like sympathizers and adherents.
Yeah. Which, sympathizers is still concerning.
Yeah, well, sympathizers, because if you're a sympathizer, that means you said mostly agree to every statement.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, if you're an adherent, it's like you said strongly agree. I think you could say strongly agree to everything except like one thing, and you'd still be an adherent. What would be a worse threat? I don't know.
I mean, currently Trump, but
yeah, I guess.
I mean, his cabinet, at least.
Yeah,
maybe. Project 2025, which is part of
Project 2025 is Christian nationalist.
Yeah.
Like the guy, one of the dudes who made it was like an admitted Christian nationalist.
Yeah. Hey, Coffee.
Hey, what's going on, guys? How are you guys doing today?
I know
you're a little tie.
I'm a little tired. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
how are you holding up, Squid?
I'm doing just swell.
But I'd like to hear. I'm sorry, I interrupted you, Chrome.
Oh no, you're fine. I was just telling Squid. So Squid and I had a discussion a little bit ago. We were talking about vitamin D levels. I am also a member of the deficient in vitamin D levels.
Yeah. Welcome to the club.
Yep. So now I'm going to be taking supplements.
Ooh. All right. Vitamin D3.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah.
Now that you reminded me, I need to actually go take my supplement.
All right.
Excellent.
I'm so used to taking medications that just adding that in is not a big deal. Especially
do you have one of those
tasty gummy ones?
Dog, for real? Give me them fucking do you remember the little gummy bear ones?
Not gummy bear specific. No. There was always like the Flintstone ones, but
hold on, I gotta look this one up. This was my childhood right here. Bro, I would like sneak into the cabinet and just fucking I don't know what I was doing, bro.
Thanks, Seffi.
Wait, is Seffi on? Wait, what?
Seffi redeemed a quench.
Oh hell yeah. How you doing, Seffi? I am here. I am here.
All right, so are you guys ready to delve into this video? Squid has seen this video and it made him angry, so it should be prime material.
It's like half good, half awful. But...
Awful in what sense? The perspective or content?
Yeah, well, so one, second thought is a Marxist-Leninist, so fuck this guy.
Yeah, a little bit.
That's one. Two, he tries to like separate out Christianity from Christian nationalism because then he brings on a different communist who's like a Christian communist. Try to be like, actually, Christianity supports Christianity supports communism, which is dumb because one, under his system, like Christianity would be wiped out. So he's clearly just like using this guy to support his position as like pure sophistry and like nothing else. Like he does not believe anything he's gonna say about Christianity being good. Like he doesn't believe that. And that pisses me off. And then two, he just like doesn't understand the statistics. He's like, well, actually, most Christian nationalists don't go to church that much. It's only like 41% attend church regularly, according to the statistic. And he's gonna use the same shit that I use, the PRRI stuff. And then he has like a book. But then if you read the actual PRRI study, they say the average American, like on average, only like 20% of Americans attend church regularly. So no, it is actually positively correlated. Like if you're a Christian nationalist, you're more likely to attend church regularly than the average population.
Yeah.
So he just says a bunch of like bullshit about Christianity itself to try and like
You make me
to try
really
and, like,
not want to
psyop.
watch this. Which as I said, I did bring up this video too.
Yeah, I mean we can watch this one too, but
Yeah.
it's just like so yeah, the second thought video, he tries to kind of like clean up Christianity a bit to try and be like, actually the Christians, you should be communists.
It's like no,
No.
not quite.
No.
Yeah,
Well,
this is why we should watch it because I have so many thoughts.
all right. Here we go. You're gonna have a third thought here.
Others like it are brought to you by the generous support of my patrons on Patreon. If you'd like to help support this channel, join our growing Discord server, and get early access to every video, consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/secondthought.
Hold on, let me get this fixed. Okay.
Also, the
Alright, let's
funniest meme about this guy is he's a communist and he has a luxury car channel.
He has a
I'm here in the heart
really?
of Dallas.
Yeah,
literally
he test
right
drives
in the
luxury
center of the
cars for
city.
fun, which is fine,
Stanley
bro.
Plaza and the JFK
Sure,
Memorial are
sure.
right over there.
That is funny
Got
if you're a
the Dallas
communist.
Symphony Orchestra playing over there. And right over there is the Perot Museum. But right here is First Baptist Dallas.
In the summertime, the church holds an event they call Freedom Sunday.
I already pausing. I hate like modernized churches like this.
Why?
Like, I don't know. Like because they're getting the tax breaks. They're using like really valuable property for what they're doing. And I mean, obviously, I'm not a huge fan of religion, I guess, but the amount of stuff they get away with when it comes to property.
You just
And
need to
it's
found a religion. That's
True.
what I'm taking
Yeah.
out. That's what
Actually,
getting out of it.
I'm not against like all religion or anything, but
Yeah, you better not. I have the green fluffy bunnies,
That's
bro.
true. You do have your green.
We're gonna
fluffy
square up if you
Mhm.
blaspheme the sacred herbs.
A patriotic service blending piety and politics. Imagine a cross between Easter and the 4th
We have
of July.
so
where
many
congregants are decked
churches
out
here
in red,
that have
white,
been,
and
like,
blue, waved
wildly
American flags,
modernized
cheered
and
indoor
updated.
fireworks, and worshiped
It's
to
like,
the
I
battle
can't
hymn of the
imagine how
Republic
much
just as they would with
that
any
costs.
traditional hymn. In 2020,
cool
the
fireworks.
annual
This is
service
good
climax
fireworks. Yeah,
was
this one
Pastor
does.
Robert Jeffress preaching to the congregation a sermon titled "America is a Christian
One of
Nation,"
ours might.
in which he spoke out against the idea that the Founding Fathers intended the country to be a secular nation without religious influence, with church and state totally separate.
That version of American history belongs in the same category as the story of George Washington and the cherry tree. It is an absolute myth. The truth is, America was founded primarily, not exclusively, but primarily by Orthodox Christians. And they founded this country upon the unchanging foundation of God's eternal truth. And furthermore, our founders believed that our success as a nation depended upon our faithfulness to God's eternal word. Though it is completely politically incorrect to say, the truth is this: America was founded as a Christian nation. And our success as a nation
Except it
depends
wasn't.
upon our fidelity
Like
to God.
explicitly stated. That is
Yeah,
not,
or at least
Yeah.
you can only be a Christian nationalist if you like completely reject the concept of like implied
yeah.
like implied powers in the Constitution, because it basically just says like the government shall make like no law abridging freedom of religion or like being involved in freedom or like involvement in religion, which like would necessitate that it not be a Christian nation like by default. Otherwise, you would be infringing on other religions and like so yes, it doesn't literally say there's a separation of church and state, but it's like
It's
very it's super clear
clearly.
in the writing that has to
Yeah.
be.
Yeah, otherwise it's a contradiction.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
But also, I don't even know if, definitely not all the founding fathers were Orthodox Christians. Like Thomas Jefferson, for example, he rejected the Trinity and like the resurrection of Christ. He was a deist.
Yeah, he was a deist. Yeah.
So was Benjamin
Allegedly.
Franklin. I mean, John Adams was pretty fucking Christian.
Weren't there
But,
rumors that Benjamin Franklin was actually like atheist, but he just didn't want to tell anyone or something? I don't remember.
Remember Benjamin Franklin was a fucking
I couldn't make that claim, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. I don't know. But either way,
I don't. Well, you can't. It's harder to attack his point because he says primarily as opposed to universally. So
Sure.
he could still accept
I mean,
Thomas Jefferson as a deist.
Shit, Thomas Jefferson though is like literally the
He is the
fucking
guy who-
writer.
He is the guy who wrote it, but to say like it's only him is to kind of like simplify it. Because if you're like, oh well, he's the
Yeah.
only one who wrote it, but then you also have like all the Federalist Papers by like Adams, Madison, and Hamilton, and they all had like a massive influence on the
Yeah,
Constitution
but
as well.
Madison was huge on religious freedom. So I don't know. I think you would have to define what primarily means. Because I feel like primarily is like an ambiguous term.
I would assume he just means majority.
Okay.
So that'd be like 50. Yeah, just as long as it's 51%, then he would claim victory.
50.0001.
sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, good. Go ahead.
Jeff,
Well, and to just add on top of it real quick, and the things he would declare as Christian values are probably values that like other nations also share that aren't Christian. So,
Yeah, I don't. Well, and then when he says like it's unchanging, it's like America itself was like this radical change in every form of like government
yeah.
that had, or like not every form, but like a radical change in form of government that had like existed previously. So
Yeah.
it just
And
doesn't.
isn't like a big thing about like a constitutional republic is the ability to reform certain, like the whole entire thing about like the Bill of Rights
Yeah.
is
amendments,
that
yeah.
it can be, it could be amended, and like we did that with I forget the exact one, but with alcohol, for example, like prohibition, we repealed that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, but that basically the argument would be like, yes, that would be true. Is that you would basically be like, well, clearly the founders did not mean. Oh no, that's a good argument because you basically like the founders clearly did not believe that like these rules couldn't change with the time. So to say that this is like an
Yeah.
unmovable thing that was founded by God, like with God's influence or under God's purview. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was just gonna say they try to make it really hard, but even if they just made it hard, that still doesn't like negate the point. So
Yeah,
yes.
exactly.
Jefferson's rhetoric is not unique. Services and sermons like this have been held all over the country. It's just one piece that fits into a larger narrative of evangelicalism, revisionist history, conspiracy theories, xenophobia, and grassroots politics that's found its way into the spotlight over the last decade. This unholy marriage of religion and politics is the narrative of American Christian nationalism. That's no doubt a phrase you've seen and heard a lot of. It's an ideology that believes that the US was always intended to be a Christian nation, that it's backslidden into horrid liberal secularism, and that it desperately needs to be reclaimed by Christians and rededicated as a nation for God. And these aren't fringe beliefs either. According to the Pew Research Center, 60% of Americans believe that the founders intended the country to be a Christian nation.
Wait, hold on. That's a true statistic?
I guess, but it would just be like different, like whether or not. But then they think they should be. The answer is 51% no.
Well, yeah, should be.
And this
but-
one is because I don't. This isn't the same Pew one that I use. I think that one's
Yeah.
older.
45% believe that it should be one today. And of that 45%, more than half believe that the Bible should influence US law and take precedence over the will of the people. Christian nationalism is the framework that animates these ideas. It's been diagnosed as one of the key components in Donald Trump's victory in 2016. It's been cited as one of the ingredients that led to January 6th. It's no doubt going to play a big role in the 2024 election. We've
Depressing.
got prominent Republicans
Depression.
self-identifying as Christian nationalist. Lauren Boebert is literally calling for the dissolution of the separation between church and state.
That is not how our founding fathers intended it. And I'm tired of this separation of church and state junk that's not in the Constitution. It was in a stinking letter, and it means nothing like what they say it does.
And all of
Would you like to correct her?
I mean, she's correct in that it was in a letter,
Letter,
but like
yeah.
I said, you just read the First Amendment. It
Yeah.
specifically. We can just read the fucking. It's like 2 sentences. It's not that long.
Yeah.
There we go. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof.
Mhm.
So, they can't establish a religion. So
Yeah.
no religion and shall be like part of the government, or the government can't make any religion or anything, and they can't prohibit the exercise of religion. So it'd be like
Yeah.
the government can't embody a religion, nor can it mess with
Yeah.
somebody's religion. So the government is separate from religion.
Yeah.
Uh,
But
and
obviously
then you
people
would
are trying to
also,
change that.
and then you would force, because under the 14th Amendment, that did this thing called incorporation, which basically like took all, like before the 14th Amendment, like the Bill of Rights and the Constitution didn't necessarily impact, like the First Amendment didn't apply to states, basically. It just only applied to Congress. But then after the 14th Amendment, it like forced the states to accept all the amendments in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. So
Yeah.
neither the state nor the federal government can actually like force any religion on anybody. And this has just been like, and this is like, even if you think it's not exactly how it should be read, like the hundreds of years of precedent that have been
Yeah.
set by the Supreme Court would just be like, well, tough titties.
Is-
Like that's just how it is.
Is it unconstitutional that like some states have put the 10 Commandments in schools, or?
The question would be whether or not that's an establishment or infringement on the ability to practice religion. So you could still say like the state is not establishing a religion; it's just
Yeah.
teaching you the 10 Commandments, and the 10 Commandments are like
Yeah.
obviously historically important. That would be like the argument.
Yeah, fair enough, I guess. But we know what they're actually trying to do.
Right. You can
Yeah.
read into it, and you could like theoretically you could still sue, because you do need to like when laws like that pass, you need to look into like the intent of the
Yeah.
state legislatures.
Yeah.
But even then, the other problem is like you can say, well, that's what the government meant, but it's like, okay, but did all the what does that mean? Like, did
Yeah.
all the legislators who passed that think that, or was it just like one legislature, and then the rest were all like, well, actually, the 10 Commandments like heavily influence
It's
society, so we should have them in class.
Fuck.
Of this is why some are calling the movement the single biggest threat to religious freedom in the country.
And as someone who isn't religious, but who is interested in religion nonetheless, watching all this play out has been not just troubling, but curious. And part of the reason for that is that there's a war being waged amongst American evangelicals, a group that most people see as pretty unified. But before we get to that, what exactly is Christian nationalism? Is it just regular old conservative Christians gone nuts? Is it the tiny church at the end of your street? Well, not really. It's complicated.
But also yes to both.
One of the most helpful resources we consulted in understanding what Christian nationalists believe, why they believe it, and what's really going on underneath it all from a historical perspective is this book, Taking America Back for God, by sociologists Andrew Whitehead and Samuel Perry. Now, this book was published before January 6th and before the 2020 election, but even though the events referenced in the book may not be completely up to date, the conclusions that the authors draw are more relevant than ever. To study the movement, the pair drew data largely from the 2017 Baylor Religion Study conducted by Gallup. Respondents were asked to rate their level of agreement with 6 individual statements to gauge their orientation towards Christian nationalist ideas. And from those answers, they divided people into 4 separate categories across the spectrum: those who reject Christian nationalism outright, those who resist it, who accommodate it, and who act as an ambassador for it. Now, what they found is pretty interesting. Clearly, people are all over the place on this. It's not at all binary. There are people who are fully in support of these ideas, just as there are those who are strongly opposed to it in every respect. But most people are somewhere in the middle, agreeing with a couple points over here, but disagreeing with a couple others over there. Just as interesting and vital in understanding the movement is looking at the demographics of the respondents, because the people who make up these 4 categories are perhaps not entirely who you'd think they'd be. There's a perception that Christian nationalism
Is it a lot of young conservatives as well?
I think this is a surprising amount of women.
Oh.
is just a bunch of white conservative
And also, like,
evangelicals.
there is like a sizable minority population But I don't think it's like massive. I think it's just like above the norm. Like if you just averaged out the population, it's just like this slightly more
okay.
minority. I think some shit like
Oh,
that.
hey, we got we got someone in the
I didn't
chat.
focus on. Yeah, I didn't focus on like
so-
any of the like racial components of it at all because I
Yeah.
was like, this is not. This
Alright.
feels like unnecessary, and I'm not really trying to make like a point about racism right now.
Yeah.
It seems
Well-
like too
well, let's see.
complicated and beyond
We-
the scope.
We do have someone in the waiting room.
Oh,
Shall we
what do
pull
they
them
wanna
up?
debate? What do they
Yeah,
want to
do it.
argue about?
Well, the topics are Christian nationalism is real bad, and the Abrahamic God is evil.
Yeah, bring him in.
Yeah. Oh, they just left.
Oh, rip, never mind.
Dude, they were too scared.
Oh, they're back.
No, I'm
Okay.
joking. All right, now they're not scared. We love it.
Hello, Yaso. Can I have your age?
Welcome in. Welcome in. Can you hear us? Noni?
Just Nani in my my Christian Discord server.
Maybe they're joining just to see if we're debating somebody else.
I'm not sure. Yaso, say something in the chat. Like, type something in the hosting company chat if you can. Actually, might not be able to. Go ahead and, like, put something in general chat or anything like that, and you can ping me.
Then keep the video going.
What's up?
Well, if Yaso's not functioning, just keep the video
Oh, 21. He says his connection is not... They say their connection is not stable. Give them a sec.
Okay. Alrighty.
Yeah. Fuck. Okay, well, I don't know why that's doing that. That's silly. Oh, I know why that's doing that. Well, I guess we'll see if they come back. And we're waiting for Squid too. Let's see. Yeah, so yeah.
Keep going. I've seen the video. I'm just thinking coffee.
Yeah. All
What
right.
happened?
But that's
Yaso disappeared. Squid's doing a thing. He said we can continue watching the video.
Oh, bet.
Yeah.
not entirely true. In some ways, Christian nationalists do lean in the directions that you'd probably expect. Those who land in the accommodator and ambassador categories do skew older, white, Republican, they live
Fewer
in the Bible
college
Belt or the
degrees.
Midwest, and they're less likely to be college
Surprise.
educated. But to try to claim that's the whole picture is inaccurate. Whitehead and Perry stress this constantly throughout the book. Quote, Christian nationalism and white evangelicalism are not at all synonymous. For example, almost a third of those in the reject column, people who do not agree with the movement at all, identify as Protestant or Catholic. In fact, nearly a quarter of evangelicals overall land in the reject or resist categories.
Only a quarter.
Accommodators and ambassadors skew female, while resistors and rejectors skew male. It's
That's
not
just
exclusive
like
to
right.
ambassadors.
See, that's my
Oh,
problem
yeah.
with this video. That's like how he does this. Is that he's like, well, you know, a quarter of them do reject. 60%, 66% of all evangelicals
75%.
at least accommodate it, but you know, 1/3 reject it. Like,
75.
wow, cool.
Yeah, it was 1/4. It was a quarter, 25% and 75%.
Oh, yeah.
1/4 is not gonna take over an authoritative collective. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah, exactly. And this is what he does throughout like the whole video. I would be curious about the scholars in this who wrote this book, or I'd want to read the book myself,
Yeah.
which I'm not going to do because I can just, if they're going to rely on like one Gallup poll, like my 2 or 3 different researches, like piece of research, are going to be more fucking worthwhile than this one book. So,
Yeah.
like, Fuck them.
skew female, while resistors and rejectors skew male. It's not exclusively white. 65% of black Americans are either accommodators or ambassadors.
That's huge.
Yep.
That's fucking massive.
It's
Well, it's
not even
because
exclusively
the
Republican.
like black population is like pretty religious.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of them are like
Yeah.
specifically conservative. Like they're conservative about a few specific things.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Republicans are the majority, of course, but a full 1/3 of respondents who identify as Democrats wound up landing as an accommodator
I mean, like, he doesn't
or an
even-
ambassador.
Like he's not. I don't know. He's like the majority of them are Republicans, but then you should see that you should be like you should also mention that according to your little stat, like 35% of all Republicans are ambassadors.
Yeah.
Like 1/3 of
Yeah.
the second party. Like look at that shit. 30. It's like about 35% are ambassadors, and then 45% are accommodators. So this statistic is even
is weird.
more skewed against Republicans than the stat I was citing. The stat I'm citing gets him at 50%. His stat has him at fucking 80.
I'm just kind of confused about this thing.
What?
I don't know. Oh, never mind. Jesus Christ. Yeah, so about 75% of Republicans are supporters or whatever the words he used.
80%.
80%.
Our accommodators are ambassadors, yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Whereas the
80%.
thing, when I was citing like PRRI and like Pew, I was like 50% are sympathizers or adherents.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
Honestly,
To
even like sympathizers are just passive, and
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
almost as bad as people pushing it.
Well,
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say the definition of a sympathizer in the research is somebody who said mostly agree to all the statements.
Okay.
So if you said mostly agree to everything, like then you could have said strongly agree with like a few of them as well, but you had to be like baseline mostly agree with every single statement. And if you were like God has called all Christians to take over most of life in America, which was one of the statements, and it was like 6% said strongly agree, and then it was like 20% or like 24% said mostly agree. So I was like, my point was like, if you even mostly agree with that
yeah.
statement, like you're
You're a
still
Christian
horrible.
Yeah.
You're still
yeah.
a piece of shit, and you're a Christian nationalist.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree.
I agree.
So did they not like weigh the different questions?
No, what they did is they gave each question a value. It was
Yeah.
between like 0 and 1.
Yeah.
So like
yeah.
0 was you said strongly disagree with everything, and then if you strongly agree with everything, you got a 1.
Yeah.
And so if you were between like it was like 0.8 to 1, you were like an adherent, and then it was like I forget exactly what the sympathy was, but it was stuff like that. I don't know what this one is because this is from a Gallup poll that I wasn't using.
Yeah.
As Democrats wound up landing as an accommodator or an ambassador. All this to say, there's way more nuance to the makeup of those in this movement. Yes, there's overlap with conservatism, and there's overlap with evangelicalism. But Christian nationalism is not either of those things in totality.
I mean, like, maybe this pushed a little more to the left, this pushed
Yeah,
more to the right.
Maybe scoot it to
but-
cover up
yeah, but-
80% of conservatism.
Like,
To understand it, you have
Let me
to
put it
look
this way: if you're a conservative, you're more likely to be a Christian nationalist than literally anything else. Like 80% of you are Christian nationalists.
man.
And again, that's his poll. I'm gonna
Yeah,
stick
that's
with
his.
mine and just say 50%.
Yeah, which is
So
still a
bad.
lot, obviously. Still
Yeah.
way too many.
at it as its own individual cultural framework. Within that, I think there are 3 core ideas to understand in order to grasp what Christian nationalism really is. The first is the truth that Robert Jeffress and loads of others have promoted, that America was founded as an explicitly Christian nation, that the
I don't
founding
even- I
fathers
mean,
always meant it to be
I
so,
don't even agree
and
with
that
that,
founding
really.
documents like the Constitution
It's
are
like
basically
oh,
just
it's a
as
good like rhetorical point for them to say it was explicitly, but you can find plenty who would basically just be like, even if it wasn't, it should be.
divinely inspired as the Bible itself. Debating the accuracy of that is less what I'm interested in here. What I am interested in is what emerges from it. What stems from this worldview is the elevation
Damn neck, first time chat. This group of incels stay on Discord all day and wonder why they are depressed with their shitty lives. Keck. Like, who are you referring to? Us? The Christian National?
Hang on.
Banning him.
No, you should have let him. You should have let him.
No, just we just don't want to trust
of
me.
American
Don't
is
do
just
it.
as important an identity as Christian, and these two things become so tied up with one another, so intertwined, that they're inseparable. To be an American is to be a Christian, and to be a Christian is to be an American. I'm sure you've heard the phrase American exceptionalism before. Well, Christian nationalism just adds this whole other dimension to that. Now, America isn't just the greatest country on earth. No, it's the new Israel, where God will establish his kingdom. America is the city set upon a hill that Jesus proclaims in the Sermon on the Mount. In fact, multiple presidents have explicitly labeled the country as such.
True.
Americans are God's chosen people, and if you disagree, well, you're just a secular liberal out to squash religious freedom. It's a worldview that clearly doesn't have a lot of nuance to it. It's a very black and white, binary mode of thinking, one that views the world in terms of purity and corruption. America and American values are pure because they're defined by Christian values, and the rest of the world is corrupt and inferior. Quoting Whitehead and Perry, to embrace the cultural values of other nations is inherently polluting, making our society just like the societies from which refugees flee. What emerges from all this is exclusion and protectionism. Us and them, superior and inferior. We'll come back to this later, but doesn't that kind of seem like it sort of clashes with the whole Jesus being the savior of the world thing? Or, gee, I don't know, the verse in Philippians that says Christian citizenship is in heaven, not earth. Or how about this verse from the book of Acts that says God shows no partiality but accepts people from all nations?
See, cringe, pause.
Refri-
See, already you can see what he's doing. He's fucking quote chimping, right? He's just taking like one or two quotes, being like, see, Jesus was a chill guy. Even though like he is himself is a fucking Marxist-Leninist, and Marxist-Leninists have state-enforced atheism. Like you're just reverse. You're the atheist reverse of the thing. Like what the fuck?
Maybe he has like a specific form of socialism, communism he's looking at or something. I don't.
No, he's a Marxist-Leninist. He has a podcast called Deprogrammed with a guy whose fucking avatar is Lenin. Like,
Fair enough.
No.
Fair enough. Fuck. I mean, that might be the case. It still doesn't necessarily make him wrong here.
What? That the Bible says
yeah.
good things sometimes?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, so what?
Well, he's saying that what Christian nationalists try to push disagrees with the Bible, which, that's how most Christians...
Everything everyone does both agrees and disagrees with the Bible at the same time, okay?
That's true.
Besides loving Jesus, you always are committing a sin. Like that's like the only thing you can do that will not get you in trouble is if you say, I love Jesus and I love God.
Annie the Marshmallow, hello. This guy is really cringe, but yeah, he happens to be correct here.
But yeah, second thought's fucking worst.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever watched him before, actually.
I hate him, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you're currently hate watch. We could watch the other video.
No, hate watching keeps me alive.
All right, we'll continue.
Shows no partiality but accepts people from all nations.
Sorry, looking around.
There's a refrigerator
Nothing to be sorry about. You're good.
magnet-style phrase you may have heard of before. that
Welcome to
gets
the
tossed
channel. I
around
hope you
in
enjoy it
evangelical circles.
for however long you want to
Jesus
stay.
plus nothing equals everything. Well, Christian nationalism is like a warped version of that. It's Jesus plus America equals everything. But where did this come from? How did...
Oh, we got someone in YouTube chat. Background noise to RimWorld. Yeah. Top G. Evil presumes objective moral standards, yet those require a transcendent source. The Abrahamic God that is that source. Judgment isn't cruelty, it's justice beyond human partiality. I mean, if it's justice beyond human partiality, I'm assuming, like, what you mean is, like, synonymous to beyond human comprehension, then how would you know it's good? Basically. I asked that, but if you want, if you have Discord, feel free to follow the link in the title. It'll put you into the Discord, and we can pull you up from there if you want to talk about it. If not, totally okay. Just know we're not going to have, like, a whole discussion from us two chatters. But if you have a couple questions or statements here and there, we'll try and cover them when we can.
How did this become a thing? Historians are agreed on this. America was not founded as an explicitly Christian country, and the founders were pretty in favor of the whole separation of church and state thing. So how did these ideas become so prominent? Well, there's not really an easy answer, or one particular person or event that started all this. When you start looking into the origins, you find evidence all over the place. I mean, literally, you can go back over 500 years. In 1493, Pope Alexander VI issued a
how do you
papal
know it's a good
bull,
question?
basically a
What's
public
the
decree
story
from the
of the
Pope himself,
Chinese
that
farmer?
gave
I think I've
Spain
heard of
the
that.
divine right to
I don't know the
discover and
details.
conquer non-Christian lands. This is what's called the Doctrine of Discovery, a handful of lines on a sheet of paper that gave Columbus and others like him the sovereign right to assume ownership
this
over
matter?
lands
Why
in the
is this
New
in this video?
World. Native Americans? Well, they're more like
don't know,
occupants,
to be
not
honest.
owners. Therefore,
I
the land was
was
free to
only
be
like
both
half paying
conquered and
attention
converted.
because it went into this.
So all those years ago, we can already see the melding of these ideas. This was like Christ's instruction to go out into all the lands and spread the good news, but with
I mean,
the
I
added
understand he's
benefit
trying to give
of
like
getting
the
to
history
claim
of
those
Christian
lands at the
nationalism,
same
but
time.
I'm like,
Good news for the
who gives a fuck
settlers,
about?
not
I
so
mean-
much for the
I mean,
locals.
Like,
it's
just read the
fine.
read the first
So,
word.
hundreds
Like,
of
it's
years
the
ago,
first
we can already
sentences
see a glimmer of
of the
Christian
First
nationalist
Amendment.
ideas, and there have been numerous variations
You get
of
the
this ever
preamble,
since.
and then you're
This notion
there.
That the U.S. is God's kingdom on earth. But what's
Fuck,
more pertinent is looking at the times and circumstances in American history when it really gains ground. Jump forward to the 20th century and the years following
some
World War
people
II,
love
and
fluff.
you can see this happening pretty explicitly. This is the second core idea.
You're choking on the fluff.
Christian nationalism is rooted in cultural insecurity. So, it's the late 40s, early 50s. What's going on?
Oh God.
The Red Scare.
Are you now, or have you ever
That's
been
right.
a member
Uh-oh.
of the Communist
Uh oh, what was it? Chris, it's because we hated the communists.
Fucking
I mean,
communist.
what was it in like the 1930s? There was a big, not Christian national. I don't know if it was Christian nationalism. It was basically Christian nationalism. That was like anti-worker, pro other stuff. Like it was the complete opposite of how Christians were acting during the Great Depression. They basically flipped the switch and made it almost like an elitist, powerful thing, and it's kind of how we developed into the work culture that we have now, or something like that. It was like they convinced a really famous pastor or someone to I forgot what it was. Basically, they switched him to promote all the large private companies over the citizens, and it worked.
In capitalism.
Yeah, basically.
Maybe this Christianity thing's not so bad. No.
bro.
Communism is this gigantic existential threat to humanity, to the United States, and to Christianity. Plus, you have the regulations and reforms of FDR's New Deal, thought of by industrialists as socialism creeping its way into the country. And in response to the combination of these things, you have all these nationalistic ideas promoting faith, freedom, and American Christian identity rise up. You have the Christian Nationalist Party and the John Birch Society, both formed for the express purpose of combating communist forces who are dead set on destroying religion. You have efforts, albeit unsuccessful, to amend the Constitution to include Jesus' name and declare the United States a Christian nation. In God We Trust is adopted as the official motto of the country. Under God is added to the Pledge of
This
Allegiance.
was the most useful piece of
So
information
much
I
of
got
this
from this
isn't
video.
Christian in
When he
theology
said that, I
or
was
even
like, "Holy
practice,
fuck, really?
but
That
rather
was
is a
holy
weaponizing
shit."
of
Yeah,
religion
yeah,
as
no,
a
it's
means of
new.
pushing back against
Newer.
perceived threats. As Whitehead and Perry put it, Christian nationalism becomes more salient during times of societal unrest. Economic, political, or cultural upheavals cause Americans to fall back on their core identities, traditions, values, and narratives about themselves to bring
Here's
order out of chaos.
a Jew mug.
In some cases, as with
Says Happy
American
Hanukkah.
Christian nationalism, myths, traditions, and identities that were not originally part of the nation's core can be manufactured for the purpose of establishing order. Since the mid-20th century, such manufactured ideas have presented in ways both large and small. For instance, I'm sure you've heard about the moral majority in the 1980s. We've talked about that on the channel before. But there are smaller ways that these ideas spread. One in particular that's interesting is the homeschool movement, which really picked up steam in the 1970s.
Fucking homeschool.
It's here that you sometimes find curricula built on pseudo-historical ideas of the
What
country's
do you keep
supposed
citing?
Christian.
What?
I said, what's this book called that it keeps citing? I can find it. It's but
Do you want me to go back?
right in the. No. I think it just says it in the description.
Uh,
'Cause I just want to look it up. I just like how Christianity poisons Christianity. Nah.
Taking Back America for God.
I'm just like curious what the authors of this book, what they've done, because it also I don't know, it just feels weird to me to be like, we read one Gallup poll and now we're
We
gonna
have a
say
whole book.
we wrote a whole book on that, and now we're gonna start pontificating about how like during cultural unrest Americans fall back on core identities, but they're
Cam.
but that they can't prove are core to the country. Like I don't even understand. I'm just like curious what that means.
Sorry.
Pet Cam.
They redeemed
Let's
the pet
go.
cam.
Pet Cam.
I'm reaching right now. Sasha. Her name
Nation
is Sasha.
leading- let's see,
Can't do it for long because like I can't actually get the webcam to actually just sit there and look at her. At least not easily.
Identity. There's a discredited historian named David Barton whose work here is pretty key in propagating these ideas.
We do have a godly heritage in America, but we've been robbed. We have to get involved and take it back. A godly heritage is the foundation of America, and the church must take right ground.
Guys,
By the time
oh,
you get to
guys.
the 21st century, and the 2010s in particular, it's not too difficult to see the kinds of economic, political, and societal insecurities that have given birth to this most recent strain of the Christian nationalist virus. The financial crash, millions of people losing their homes, their jobs, their livelihoods, the birth of the gig economy, precarious work, labor rights and job benefits being stripped away, wages stagnating. All these things and more contribute to the growth of movements as varied as the Tea Party movement, Christian nationalism, or Occupy Wall Street. They're all animated by a growing discontent that's been simmering for years. Some of these movements, like Occupy, have at least something resembling a sensible class analysis. Others, like Christian nationalism, not so much. Instead latching onto the most exclusionary
Sensible
and
class
reactionary
analysis.
interpretations of
Thank
religious
God.
tradition.
Don't you get it, guys? When his stuff does protesting, it's good. It's good stuff. When the other people do it, reactionary. They don't know what's going on.
They're terrorists.
Yeah, which is like, I mean, I guess I would agree. You know, if you're protesting about Jesus, like you're a little bit goofier than a guy being like, "I'm poor, this sucks."
Yeah.
But at the same time, trying to be like my side when we do the protest, big brain. There's class analysis as opposed to the reality of it, where it's just like people are like, "Damn, bro, I'm poor. Can the government like do some welfare real quick?"
Yeah, can you
Some shit like that.
It's like I was born here against my will. Like
To them, the U.S. is backsliding into apocalyptic Sodom and Gomorrah territory, and God requires the faithful to wage war for his glory. Again, it's all very...
what was it? There was an old show where it was like swapping, like house swap, like two family. It was like wife swap, I think it was what it was called. And there was the God Warrior woman. Do you guys know about that?
No, that sounds awesome.
Coffee, did you ever
There's a
see
wife
that?
swap, and there's a God
I'm
Warrior.
sorry, I got
woman.
distracted. One more time.
Did you ever? Do you know about the woman that was on wife swap who claimed herself as a God Warrior?
The God Warrior. No,
God
I don't
Warrior?
watch reality TV shows.
This is like old, like in the aughts. Hold on, I'll bring her up real quick. It's just a short thing.
Warrior for God. I wonder if they like genociding people.
I've seen
Like in
I've
South
seen pictures
probably
of her.
seen-
I don't think I've ever actually seen like.
Trading Spaces is what it's called. Fucking.
I didn't know.
From what I heard, after all of this, over time, she actually became much more like almost like liberal, like even pro LGBT and shit like that. I was like, huh, I'm surprised. But you go.
I think she's here. She's here.
Oh yeah.
No way.
And the family she goes to has like a lot of pagan shit, I think.
A lot of hate. Oh.
Well, not this family. This is.
What? Dork Saturn.
Satan.
So, yeah.
Not of God. It's not Christians.
And apparently this is
Did you not,
not.
ask if she believed in God? She's not a Christian.
She could be a Jew and
Apparently this isn't acted up. Like this is sincere. Oh yeah.
believe in
It doesn't
God.
matter. She's tampering in dark-sided stuff.
Oh, that's what I've
Yes,
seen that. Okay, I've
Yeah.
seen that clip.
The entire house is dark-sided.
She said
Dork
her whole
sided.
house is
She is dark-sided too.
Why are you mad at us?
This is my house.
So the other family in this was apparently like super chill and super nice. Like her family actually liked the other person's mother/wife. It's like she's very nice.
I want no money. I want nothing. I want my God and I want my family. This is tainted. I don't want it. Whatever
I don't
it
either.
is, it's tainted. Whatever it is, you give it me. I give it up
It's like,
to God. I'm a
ma'am,
God
that was a check for
warrior,
like
and I don't want
$10,000 for your
someone with
participation.
tainted anything in beliefs, doing anything with my family. Get out.
Oh shit.
Get out.
Wait,
I
is
want
this?
these crew members
Is he like
leaving.
actually yelling at
These
the?
air sets off of me. I've had
At the camera.
gargoyles,
Awesome. This
psychics,
is awesome.
everything's ungodly. Dark
Man, I love
sided.
reality
I'm
TV.
glad you're
Dork
home.
Get
side.
the hell out of my house. In Jesus' name, I pray. I've had enough.
Mama, just sit. Mom, come sit with us.
Did you talk about astrology?
No.
Did you get hypnotized by her? I have taken a stand. I have taken a stand. I am not a fence rider. I was over there praying for all these people, but I needed prayer. I needed you to
were
be
praying for
I needed you get
Mom,
me.
I was praying for you every night. That I was praying for you every
But
night.
I
So
needed
hard.
your prayers.
Apparently she needed some likes on Facebook as well.
So it's my fault.
I need some Ambien.
You did come to my mind.
That's the most important thing.
There was nothing of God. Every day it was nothing
She
of
needs
God.
a horse tranquilizer.
I had to change the whole plans and make everybody go to a Catholic church because I was leaving. Took the ear sets off, said I am leaving. Fly me home.
Mama, just talk
We
to
had
us.
a party, a solstice party.
Well, she said that was about the moon. It was the longest.
Yeah, it's
day.
about the moon because they only believe in the moon and the gods and the this and the that.
Katie was not like that.
Her
every
name
year.
is Jade. I went to her station. Her kids don't go to church or believe in God.
She said
I've been with her kids.
Well, she did.
Ashley, astrology,
Mom, I believe you.
tarot card readings.
She didn't bring it up with
And if
us.
everybody would look back at everything I've been saying and preaching and praying and saying, I've been saying I am a spiritual warrior because I feel like I'm a spiritual warrior. Like I've had to put armor on just to walk out that house.
Armor.
I want none of this.
Yeah,
I want out of
spiritual warrior.
this.
Spiritual,
Because
yeah.
you know what? I won't take some ungodly person telling me what to do with my money or that money for us. I don't want it in my house. Tarot cards and astrology and witch books and,
Here, pause.
and
That kid,
I
kid
couldn't-
is having an episode.
Well, honestly, if I was a cameraman, I do not know how I would be able to not laugh.
True.
I would probably get fired.
Yeah.
I'd be like, all right, I quit, dude. This is too
Uh,
fucking
no,
funny.
honest-
No, your producer would be in your ear being like, "Don't you fucking laugh, bro.
Don't
This
do
is the
it."
greatest footage we've ever gotten in our lives. You need to shut the fuck up."
It's like
You can laugh afterwards.
Well, it's like well, then it's also like if she tells you to get out of her house, then you're like officially trespassing, and you're like, should I leave? Should I actually leave or like? And then again, the producer's like, I don't care if you spend the next month in jail, you're getting this fucking footage.
And none of that here.
because you know why? Because I'm the warrior. I asked all the questions. Take the money. Take whatever you got.
I wonder how much money
and
was
get out
in
of my
there.
house. In
I'm
Jesus'
sure they
name.
had to have given it to like the other family members and been like, "Okay."
Yeah.
In Jesus' name, I pray. They will be on my prayer list for the day I die. Every one of
You
them.
spoke to her?
I speak that into existence, every one of them. I've planted that seed and I will see the harvest. Get out of my house.
I will see the harvest.
Every dark-sided person, get out of my house. If you believe in Jesus, you can stay here.
like this.
Don't stay in my house if you're dark-sided. I don't want to see a book of witches. I don't want to see anything, any stars. I don't want to see any of this dark-sided psychics, all the things, tarot card reading. I rebuke it in the name of the Lord.
Mom, come no.
The craziest thing is she also believes in all of that.
Come talk to some.
I am a prayer warrior. Do you know what she is? Do you know what they do? Did you ask her, was she a Christian? Did you ask her, did she believe in God? Not God, not star, not witches, I've been educated while I've been gone. I've been educated on stuff I didn't even want you to hear, but you need to. You know why? Because Mama can't protect. They put me on the talk show and had a psychic in the air. I took the ear sets off and said, I am flying home. I don't believe in this. Why don't you ask? Why am I the...
You seem to believe in this. Like, otherwise you wouldn't be so upset, I feel like.
Yeah, I don't know. She's having a moment.
She is, yeah.
I'm always the one that asked all these things. I'm the one that's the warrior. Why can't you be the warrior? And then they had this wonderful star thing. Okay. And there's Buddha, and there's the Buddha flag.
The music.
It just goes on every day. It was something ungodly. I was thrown in the pit. Thrown in the pit. You couldn't even walk up the front door without the Buddha flags here. He thinks he's been reincarnated. Nothing of God. I felt dark.
That was $50,000. Okay, so they did accept the money, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, obviously.
Yeah, like, seriously.
Just because you have a...
To their own place.
I'm sure the
yeah.
and I'm sure the contract, because they're married, was like the husband and the wife both signed it. Like,
Yeah,
now
yeah.
you can just
To
get
pay
rid
for
of
the
it,
gastric
so.
bypass surgery that Margaret wanted.
Jesus.
Jesus.
I mean,
Did they not have
warrior.
health insurance? Margaret has decided to accept the money, yeah. She's probably she's probably like $50,000.
Yeah, literally, I was gonna say she was just like,
Like,
shit,
wait.
50,000, bro, that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. Just take.
I guarantee you, they
take-
didn't donate it to like a church or anything.
No, they just said
Yeah.
she had to get a gastric bypass.
She probably went to a rabbi to bless the money to make it kosher, or some shit.
Kosher is crazy.
Kosher check.
Binary
Oh my
black
God.
and white,
So,
good
yeah,
guys versus bad
had to
guys
bring her
kind
up.
of thinking.
But
You
apparently,
ever watch
she
the show
really
Lost?
chilled out afterwards.
Kind of reminds
over
me of
time.
that.
That's, I mean, that's good, I guess.
Michael.
Good guys. Good guys. Good guys. Good guys.
We're the good guys.
In my experience, the people who go out of their way to tell you that the good guys are the bad guys.
So, American Christians are rendered heroes, but absent a class analysis, the villains in this framework wind up ultimately looking
The
a lot
class
less like DC or
analysis.
Wall Street elites, and
Yeah,
more
bro,
like
we need to
immigrants
look at our
DC or Wall Street.
dialectical materialism and all that other shit. We need to understand the inherent contradiction in capitalism and how this is building up to the revolution. It's gonna happen, guys. The revolution. It's happening right now.
It's happening right now.
of the
Even though my
LGBT
framework
community.
predicted the fall of capitalism like over 150 years ago, it's still a good framework, guys. Come on. Please.
Yeah, we can do
Please.
it. Please, I'm begging you.
Yeah.
It's kind of like
That's because the response
sorry.
like Jehovah's Witnesses claiming that it's the end times. It's the end times.
Yeah, bro. Unironically, yes. Every single time someone brings up late stage capitalism, I'm like, bro, it's over. It's so over. Are you ready, bro? It's over. And then it's like every communist that's ever lived is always like, bro, it's over this time. We
So-
pinky promise.
Yeah, it's still, but it's always been late stage
Yeah.
capital. Now it's like post after the fact.
Yeah.
Post
Post ultimate.
Post ultimate. Something or
Finality.
Finality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Finality. Conclusive. End stage capitalism.
Oh my god.
to cultural insecurity is to insulate. The movement's goals of restoring stability and taking America back are just as much, if not more so, about ejecting a perceived outsider as they are about instituting Christian principles at a governmental level. So, historically, who comes along and taps right into
If there's
that?
anyone in the chat, please feel free to follow the link to our Discord so we can pull you up and we can have a discussion.
Hell yeah, bro.
Now,
build that
in
wall.
none of this am I trying to bash Christians or religious people of any flavor.
That's a lie.
No, it's not a lie. He's trying to trick them. That's He's trying not to bash them.
Okay.
True. That way he can fucking trick you into being a communist.
Need a fan, fucking hot as hell in here. Go for a coffee. Fuck it. Yeah, just ignore the last 16 minutes of this video.
Yeah.
Although I'm not personally religious, I'm not anti-religion by any means. Religion can be a wonderful thing in a person's life. And
Agree.
weirdly,
No.
that's kind of the point
You
that I
said
looked into
no.
all of this. Because as the data has shown, this is
all that
all
matters
actually
is he
less
does.
of a religious
He
movement
doesn't.
and more of a
Believe that.
political and cultural one. The God of Christian nationalism isn't so much the Abrahamic God, the God is America.
Back in November of 2015, I ate dinner with one of President Trump's biggest supporters. This person explained to me that America is the last hope of Christianity. That America is the last hope of Christianity. And
That might be kind of true. But, like, there's still a lot of Christians out there.
Yeah,
that
there's
aren't
like
in the US.
Christianity spreading like crazy in China last I checked.
Yeah, oh, yeah. It's getting bigger in China. It's still growing in Africa.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, well, but you could just be like, well, the Christian nationalists still believe this. They're just wrong.
yeah,
That's-
true.
They're just dumb.
We're probably the biggest bastion of Christianity.
At least in like the first world, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that I simply misheard. That it could not have been what he was saying. This person
Why
was
is that?
well known as a Christian leader, an apologist for the faith. It simply could not have been true. So I corrected him.
What?
He said, "You mean Christianity is the last hope of America, right?" He said, "No, America is the last hope of Christianity." That's Christian nationalism.
I mean, that's more true
This
that
is
way
the great
than the other way.
contradiction, the great oxymoron of the whole movement, and the last core idea that leads to understanding it. America is Christianity's savior, not the other way around. This may bear the label Christian, but it's not some new great awakening. Christian nationalists aren't even
I also
necessarily
just don't think
religious.
that's correct. Like all
Yeah.
you need to do to be a Christian nationalist is be like Christianity should rule a nation. Like that's
Yeah.
it. And like then you're like done. That's one of the reasons why I like the questions in the PRI
Yeah.
survey so much, because it didn't even bother. It just didn't ask any of that shit. It just was like,
Well-
did God give us a mandate, or did God give Christians a mandate to rule over this, or like should separation church state be removed? Like they just asked these basic, or they made these basic statements.
Well, it's also
And technically, go ahead.
it's also the fact of the matter that they're not mutually exclusive. You can believe in both.
Yeah.
Like, it's not one or the other. It's both can be true to a person. Yeah, go ahead, Guffey.
I was just saying, like, technically, you don't even necessarily have to believe in Christianity in order to kind of accept the tenets of Christianity. Because kind of like Jordan Peterson, where I think he like recognizes like the utility of Christianity rather than the belief. So I'm sure there are people who agree that Christian nationalism can work, but not be actual Christians.
Yeah, you could have. There could be like a group like that. Yeah. Where
Block
there's,
this
like, one-
motherfucker.
We got a bot.
Yeah, block that motherfucker.
What?
Okay, I got it.
Oh, okay. Boop. I was about to. Cool. Are we good?
I
Zealots.
hit ban him, so he should be banned.
Yeah, he's banned. It says banned.
Okay, cool.
They're fanboys, obsessed with a product. That product being the idea of America itself. And actually, the statistics bear this out. One of the most
I just
insightful
want
data
to
points of white
show
man
what just happened. He went from Christian nationalism to like America. He's like flipped it now to being like, actually, the real problem is that they just love America.
They love a specific kind of America.
I guess it just feels like
Yeah.
it just feels like gross to me to be like, you have these people who are like, yes, we want to make the nation Christianity and all this other shit, and then your main takeaway from that is like they just are obsessed with they're fanboys for America. Like, what the fuck does that mean?
Nationalism.
Yeah,
It's
gross.
basically, yeah.
research is that commitment to Christian nationalism and commitment to genuine religious practice are often completely opposed. Americans who are more religious, who attend church more often, who pray more often, and who read their Bible more often are actually more likely to support gun control, less likely to ostracize immigrants, less likely to espouse anti-black or anti-Muslim sentiment, and yes, are less likely to vote for Trump. In fact, to quote from this article from The Atlantic, it seems clear that Christian nationalism attracts a lot of adherents who rarely go to church themselves. A PRRI survey published earlier this year showed that only 54% of Christian nationalists, and just 42% of those who are sympathizers with the ideology, attend church regularly. Time and
Pause.
again,
Rewind.
Yeah.
You saw it. They even say the general population 28%. So no, like, I don't. You can say like, well, yes, they don't all go to church regularly, but it's very fucking clear that like, if you go to church, like people who are Christian nationalists go to church regularly at almost double the rate of the general population. Like, I don't even understand how you can make this stupid statement. Like, how can you make this statement with the numbers in the fucking same paragraph?
Well, and
they're
another,
next to each other.
Another thing is like how frequent or how regularly is regularly?
I think it's like once a week. Or something.
Yeah, I mean maybe they just go every other week or something like that. Like,
but even you don't even need to like split the hairs. It doesn't even matter. You don't even need to split the hairs. The general population, 28% attend church regularly. Christian nationalists, 54% attend church regularly. Just put the numbers next to each other.
And then 42 who are the sympathizers, who a good amount of those would also you would consider as a Christian nationalist.
Yeah.
There's still a high percentage of them.
Yeah, like you could still look, it could be true that like going to church does not necessarily like being a Christian nationalist is positively correlated to going to church, but going to church is not positively correlated with being a Christian nationalist. You know what I mean? But that would still mean Christian nationalists are going to church like more than like the average.
Well, that's the general population, not all Christians. Let's see. Well, okay, so they still attend church quite a bit more.
Yeah.
Let's see. Like,
so if you
only
would be
30%
like, well,
of Protestants regularly attend church. So.
So just I just don't. Going to church here would still be correlated with going to church. Yeah.
Going to church.
Going to church is correlated with going to church.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you would still say that like if you go to church, you're more likely to find Christian nationalists than you are in the general population.
Yeah.
That seems pretty clear.
Yeah, for sure.
With the ideology.
So they still go to church the most.
And he even showed earlier in the fucking video that 75% of evangelicals count as ambassadors or not adherents. The fucking
start with
enablers or whatever it was called.
Something like that. Yeah, maybe it was enabler.
Yeah. So again, by his like your own stats are telling you like just because you quote the Atlantic article doesn't make it right. Like just look at the fucking numbers.
Yep.
And Perry right.
Yeah, sorry for
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah.
Practice zags.
Thank you, Annie, for the correction.
Now,
yes.
Clearly, there are still a lot of religious zealots in the movement. But to me, this is kind of the punchline in all of this. If the research here is correct, Christian nationalism isn't very Christian. This isn't about spreading the good news. It's about gaining political power.
Earlier.
Yeah.
You were like 25% or 1/3 or whatever it was.
Like what's an ambassador? That's someone pushing it.
Yeah, don't count.
Yeah.
It's doing so by hijacking the Christian label. And you know what the most demonstrative image of all that is, that sums it all up? It's Donald Trump in 2016 standing in front of a crowd, holding up a Bible and acting as though it's the most precious thing in the world to him. And then opening it up and mispronouncing the name of the book he's reading from.
2 Corinthians, right? 2 Corinthians 3:17. That's the whole ball game. Where the Spirit of the Lord, right?
That's the whole ball game, boys.
Now, you remember how I mentioned earlier that...
Wait, did he pronounce that wrong?
I don't know.
No, I think you pronounced it right, but I bet you, I kid you not, that probably was the first time he's ever read that.
True.
Oh, definitely.
Probably, yeah.
Like, he was like, Corinthians? I wonder what that means, but that's the whole ball game.
That's pretty
This
funny.
is the whole ball game. Whatever that means, too.
There's a war
be
being
right
waged
back.
amongst
Yep.
American evangelicals over all this. Well, there's been quite a lot of activity from a lot of folks in that arena, writing and speaking out against Christian nationalism. Big conservative evangelical names like Russell Moore, Timothy Keller, and writers at sites like the Gospel Coalition. And so to end all of this, I wanted to talk with someone to give us more of an on-the-ground approach. Hey Jay, hey man, how you doing?
Oh, here he is.
Pretty good. How are y'all?
Good. We're just getting a few more things set up here. So I got connected
one-
with AJ Shortley, a preacher from Atlanta who also runs a new channel here on YouTube called The Holy Shift Show.
Oh, look at that. 40.
You know what? Let's
40.
see how Holy Shift Show is doing. I actually kind of like that title, to be honest. That's pretty good.
So fucking stupid.
How is he doing now?
That's not him. Maybe
No.
it's dead.
It might, yeah, it might just be gone.
I bet he's linked in the description.
Could, yeah, that's a good point. I mean, he better have linked it.
Yeah, what the fuck? You didn't link the Holy
no.
Shift Show? Check out AJ's work.
Here it is,
There you
yeah.
go.
It's dead.
Oh, damn, rip.
It's dead.
He deleted it recently. When I watched this video, like, you know, a few months ago, it was still there, so.
Abrahamic God isn't evil. Well, if you disagree,
Let's
feel
finish
free.
this.
Yeah. Feel free to hop into the waiting room by the Discord link. We're going to currently just kind of try and finish this up, but we'll pull you in when we can. Just make sure you're 18 and up.
Yeah.
Perspective on all of this and on how Christian nationalism perverts Christianity is really valuable.
The language of the gospel itself, where it talks about the good news of the Son of God, actually is riffing on some of the language that the empire used to use for the emperor. So when a new emperor was born, it would make a proclamation to the Mediterranean world that the good news of the Son of God has been born, this emperor, you know, Augustus or Caesar or whatever. And so when the gospel starts using that language, it's saying that, okay, the center of the empire, imperial power, is not your savior. And salvation actually comes from
As soon as he said that, as soon as he said the word imperial power, I was like, oh, this is a communist Christian. I see. Very nice. Fuck, I wish his channel wasn't dead. Then I could have showed you.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
This emperor, you know, Augustus or Caesar or whatever.
Yeah.
And so when the gospel starts using that language, it's saying that, okay, the center of the empire, imperial power, is not your savior. And salvation actually comes from the margins. For God to say that the Savior is born in Nazareth, which was on the margin of Israel, and Israel itself was on the margin of the Roman Empire, is to say that imperial power and the central power is not the place where salvation and wholeness and healing and freedom.
To be fair, you can be anti-imperialist and not be communist. But
yeah, but when was the last time you heard somebody talk about being anti-imperialist? And not, you know, technically speaking, I'm anti-imperialist, but at no point have I ever said the phrase anti-imperialist.
Yeah.
Outside of being like, this fucking communist just said anti-imperialist. Okay.
Is going to come from.
Commies for Christ.
It's just not going to come from the center
Literally,
of power.
bro.
How has it been engaging with your congregation on these topics? Have they been open to having their opinions changed? Are they aware that some
I'm
of these
anti
beliefs
all
they hold
empires
may
except
be in
mine.
contradiction to
God
the
damn
Bible?
right.
Have you met any resistance? to that?
True egoism.
In my experience, which of course is limited, social location can have a pretty significant factor on how open someone is to criticizing American structures. And so if you're, you know, if you're studying
American
scripture
structures.
and analyzing, you know, what America looks like from a biblical perspective, if people find themselves in a
I'm gonna find the one.
He didn't say
socially and
colonial.
economically marginalized place in life,
Find the one Christian
they tend to
egoist
be
and
less
use that
resistant to
prove
critiquing
Christianity
America,
supports egoism.
You know, for obvious reasons, I think. Those who find themselves in more central places socially and economically in American life are much more resistant to offering critiques of America because they would then be critiquing the status quo, which they're benefiting from. So there's some incentive there to not critique America or structures in that way. So it's a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag. Sometimes people get really defensive and don't want to hear anything about the critique of America in any way whatsoever. To critique America would be to critique the gospel itself. But even those who are central, even those who are more central socially and economically in the culture, they're still willing to grapple with it and think about how America could do better and all this stuff. But typically what I've seen is that even no matter how much critique someone is willing to give of American structures, if the narrative starts shifting towards people who are experiencing financial hardship are not experiencing it because they have made some sort of huge mistake or have made some sort of huge failure, but it's more of a structural reason that people experience financial hardship, that's sort of like an off limits way to look at things.
Is there a particular passage you would point to from the Bible to help a congregant
Bro, can you
understand that
quote
maybe
Chimp the Bible
some
for
of
us, please?
these beliefs that they hold within Christian nationalism are
exactly what I did earlier.
opposed to the teachings of the
Yeah,
Bible?
exactly.
So
Talk about when he
specifically
whips
with,
the bankers.
Christian nationalism, Acts 15 is about as explicit as it gets. Acts 15 is a part of the story where the early church had been spreading, and a lot of non-Jewish people
I just
had
want
been
to point
coming to the
out,
faith in Jesus
in
as
Second
the
Thoughts
Messiah.
worldview,
And
guy would
so
be
the
sent to
early
a
church
re-education
generated this
camp.
question, okay, well, what do we
Just
do
saying.
with
This guy?
all these non-Jewish
Yes,
people?
this guy is literally the
flowing into
definition of a
faith?
useful
Are
idiot.
we
Like, he
saying
is
that
the
they're automatically a
idiot who
part
ever
of
walked this
our
planet.
community of God now? Or are we saying that they need to also adopt Jewish custom and law for themselves in order to consider themselves part of us, part of the community? And the very, very clear answer that Acts 15 gives is that no, Gentiles do not need to become Jewish in order to be reconciled with God. And that, I think, touches on the
I'm
heart
already ahead of the game.
Christian nationalism, because no one needs to be American to be reconciled with God. No one needs to be American or some version of American or some version of anything at all, anywhere, period, to be considered as loved and reconciled to God. Because that's just not the message of Scripture. The message of Scripture is that God's love is absolutely universal and given to all people without any preconditions whatsoever. And it's an invitation.
In the end, he seems like a chill guy.
He's a communist. He wants to shoot me in the head. He
Well,
can go.
I don't. I mean, he is also a Christian, so he might not.
No, he does.
He does.
He can't be. I don't know.
It's the,
It's
in relationship with God,
his
God's
bullets are going to be
in
dunked in holy water
healing and
before he
goodness and
fires.
life and
Yeah,
mutuality
exactly.
support
And if you're a
love to
Christian
the world,
communist, then you're just
it's not
like you're
about-
so like
it's not about being,
mind-bogglingly
like,
confused about your worldview that it's like
in
kind of
any stretch of
impressive.
the
Like
imagination.
literally nothing you
There's
say
a little
makes any
story
fucking sense.
in Galatians
Like-
2 where Peter, who was a disciple of Jesus, and this is
Like,
after
obviously, it
Acts
would make
15
sense to
in
be
the
like a big
Jerusalem
proponent
Council,
of social welfare.
where Peter used to eat with Gentiles
Yeah.
in Antioch, which was to the north.
I don't know.
And he didn't have any problems with it, but sometimes some representatives from the church in
Oh,
Jerusalem,
sorry,
who
Abdul.
were
We'll
obviously,
respond to your
Jewish
question
believers
a
in
bit.
Jesus as a Messiah, would come to Antioch
still
to
here.
check on things and fellowship probably and just stay connected in different ways. And one time when Paul and Peter are there, Peter got up from the table that he was sitting at with Gentiles and sharing a meal with them because some representatives from the church in Jerusalem arrived, and he gets up and leaves because he doesn't want those the Jewish believers to see him eating with Gentiles.
You're right,
And Paul
Abdul.
absolutely loses
At
his
least
mind over
Marxist
this. And
Leninist
actually, he says that
promotes
Peter's
atheism.
action in doing that calls
He
into
marks
question
himself
the very
in it,
truth
like,
of the gospel
ironic, yeah.
itself.
I could explain.
And
if you ever
so
want the
in places
rundown, I
like
can give you
that,
the
in
rundown on the
places,
dialectical materialism
all
and the
over the
reduction
place
of
in
all
Paul, you can
contradictions
see
and
that
how this necessitates the
center of
destruction of
the
religion.
gospel is kind of
You guys need to pause
overcoming-
when you guys are talking. There's just too much overlap, and I cannot hear either.
Oh, sorry.
I mean, it's not. Yeah, I'm like, I'm like,
You're
what
about
the
to.
fuck
You're
is
about
going
to.
on here?
You're about to say it's not your fault, but it's like, wait, no, it's definitely their fault.
Hey, you said it, not me.
So, Well, anyway, well, actually, go into Abdul's comments.
Yeah, I want to hear what Abdul's got to say.
Yeah, well, Abdul said, "What is Christian nationalism? Aren't they also kind of anti-nationalism like Islam?" You guys might know. I don't know a lot about Islam and Islamic structure. So there, as with like any of the Abrahamic religions, you know, Judaism, Islam, Christianity, they all have their different sects, their different denominations. So in Christian nationalism isn't a denomination, though a lot of evangelists do fall into it. It's just trying to make America into a nation that is ruled by the Bible, basically.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Could you tell me a little bit more about how Islam is anti-nationalist? I'm curious about that.
Yeah, that would be.
If we're gonna do it, invite him to the Discord.
Yeah, Abdul, come up to the Discord if you can.
Because I'm reading that within the Quran, there is a specific part where it condemns national superiority. But I don't know.
There we go. Islam wants the unification of the Ummah. So, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, sorry if I'm not. The Ummah. So these nations that exist right now are maybe haram, and I'm all. You're already in.
He's already in, apparently. Is he in the waiting room?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought that's what he meant.
Well, join, if you want to be pulled up, join the waiting room. Oh, you're under 18. Damn.
We appreciate you letting us know.
Yeah. Thank you for being honest. And like, obviously you disagree with the God being evil, but I appreciate your insight and your questions and everything.
Yeah.
Well, and then thank you for joining the Discord as well. Let's see.
I mean, also, just because Christianity may not promote Christian nationalism, Christian nationalism is still bad.
Yeah.
So,
Ummah refers to the global community of Muslims. Okay, uniting Muslims through their shared faith and adherence to the teachings of Islam. Yeah, Christianity, the only thing Christianity has is Christ. Really, that's like their biggest connection. And even then, obviously, there's disagreements. So it's like there are people that claim that they are Christian fundamentalists. So basically, that means they just strictly look towards the teachings of Christ, more or less, and that, you know, Christ is God, the Holy Trinity, etc. But even Christian fundamentalists disagree on shit. Just maybe less often. Let's see. Well, move this over here real quick.
Wow, in the Prophet Muhammad in his final sermon, quote, "There is no superiority of an Arab over a non-Arab," and then except by piety. So, I guess in a way that you could definitely make an argument that Islam, I wouldn't say is inherently anti-nationalist.
Yeah.
But doesn't promote it specifically, I guess.
It seems it's more concerned about the people as a whole rather than like a government structure, I guess. Or a state.
It's like I don't know. I don't know
Where-
enough about the Quran to make like some claims, but this is what I read a little bit right
Yeah.
here.
So Islam is more of a people, and Christianity is more of a framework for people to sit in or something. I don't know. I don't know how to analogize it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the Sharia law, but
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Having superiority complexes, where we're not looking
there's
down
a
on others,
lot
that we are all
in everything.
that we are all equally loved and invited by God to
There's a lot in
participate
all
in
of
the
it.
fullness of life, which is connection to God and connection to others, and that in my mind is very much against what Christian nationalism teaches and thinks.
That is a perfect answer, I think, and I think that's actually a great spot to end the episode. So AJ, thanks for coming on. We really appreciate having you here.
Thank you all.
We'll see ya.
See you.
I mentioned at the beginning of the episode that videos like these are made possible thanks to my patrons on Patreon.
Okay.
Michelle's Patreon. Get out.
Let's see. Well, that's a good time to take a quick break. For me, I have to feed the cats.
Okay.
So I will be right. First, Abdul. Yeah, but my reasoning and Islamic reasoning is that these nations divide the Muslims and cause fighting, as you can see in Syria or Afghanistan, the conflict between Saudi and Iran, or Berbers and Arabs.
What are Berbers? Wait, hold up.
Anyway, I'll be right back.
I don't know what the context of this is.
Da 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 da. Oh, I see. Indigenous to North Africa. Predates the arrival of Arabs in the Maghreb. If I'm saying that right. Da-da-dee-doo-doo-doo. Oh, what? Okay, Morocco, Algeria, Libya. Okay, interesting. What do you mean these nations divide the Muslims? Like what specific nations are you referring to? Are you talking about like nationalist states that are the ones that divide Muslims? Nations of the Muslim world. But my reasoning. Give me 1 second. I'm trying to figure out what you're trying to get at. My reasoning in Islamic. Oh, are you talking about like theocratic states that divide Muslims? Is that what you're referring to? Interesting. Hmm. Oh shit.
How does this relate to Christian nationalism?
There are many rivalries and just racism. Hmm. But yeah, no, I mean, like, I agree. Nationalism has definitely pretty much like encouraged tribalism, like racism, and just like all in out like certain sects of religions, like shit. God, I can't remember the Shia and fuck.
And
I
Sunni?
can't remember. The Sunni, yeah. So definitely nationalism has definitely kind of clashed these two together. And kind of like, I guess, like contradicts the statement of the Quran where it calls into unity, I guess.
Yeah, but that's been going on since literally it was like as soon as Muhammad died, it split in two.
Yeah, I think it was like something about the successor of
Yeah, it was between his like
Muhammad.
right-hand man and his kid. And then
Yeah,
there was,
something like
and they
that.
split down the middle because it was
All
like
right, I'm
I
back.
think Muhammad like chose his right-hand man, but then everyone else was like, no, we want his kid, or something like that.
Yeah. Did I miss anything?
Nah.
Yeah, just a little chat on
Chat on the
on
chat.
like nationalism kind of separating the goal of Islam.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah. I remember kind of getting you said that hold on. Abrahamic religions are pretty similar, so maybe Christianity would follow this. I don't know. I mean, holy shit, there are so many different sects of Christianity. So I don't know. I don't know what the I don't know. We just know that Christian nationalism is fucking horrible.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes it from the, I mean, yes, you could say that Christian nationalism uses Christianity as a disguise for righteousness and like objective morals or an objective way to live, and therefore should be in the form of a government. But yeah, I mean, just I don't know.
All right. Shall I continue with the next video?
What are we watching now?
It's another thing on Christian nationalism, unless you want to switch topics, though. We're kind of doing theological stuff at the moment.
Yeah.
But Squid has not seen this one, I don't think.
Nope.
And-
This will be all new to me.
And this is the New Evangelicals who posted this. It says, and it's saying
What's new about them?
why it's the greatest threat facing America. So I have no idea. I don't know why they're new, but whatever.
Is he like a religious guy critiquing Christian nationalism?
It might be. So, well, we're gonna find out. Lame.
I've been talking about Christian nationalism and why I believe it's the greatest threat to democracy for years now. I've had the chance to interview almost every major scholar on the topic, I've read countless books, and I've kept up to date on the sociological data, but I'm not sure if I ever made a piece of content that gave you the breakdown of what Christian nationalism is and how much of the population believes it. And I don't think I've explained why I think that this topic is not being talked about enough in mainstream and progressive media spaces. So that's what this piece is all about. When I say Christian nationalism, what exactly am I talking about, and why the heck am I always talking about it? Well, the short answer is this. Because in my opinion, it's the primary reason that we are in the political mess that we find ourselves in, and yet most people have never heard the term or the names of the people working behind the scenes that have given the Trump administration the directives that it's currently enacting. Think about it. In just a few short months, Trump has gutted major parts of our government, including the U.S. Agency for International Development, or USAID, which is the principal U.S. agency to extend assistance to countries recovering from disaster, trying to escape poverty, and engaging in democratic reforms. The Department of Education, which ensures that civil rights laws are followed in public schools, has been mostly dismantled. An unelected billionaire and his minions were given unfettered access to government systems.
Sorry. They actually have a website. They are a nonprofit organization. The New Evangelicals is a digital-first 501c3 nonprofit organization amplifying diverse voices committed to dismantling Christian nationalism and advocating for systemic change. They are...
So it's like a thing.
We provide educational resources, community spaces, and offer a hopeful, justice-centered path forward for people of faith.
Okay, yeah. So it is like the religious attack on Christian nationalism. Okay.
Yeah. Interesting.
In the name of eradicating waste and fact check, they haven't done that yet. Legal immigrants are literally being kidnapped in broad daylight. Some are being deported, and the Trump administration is openly defying court orders to bring them home. Trump tried to erase parts of the Constitution through an executive order declaring that birthright citizenship should be null and void. Books about Black history and the Holocaust are being banned. The acknowledgement that trans people exist is being erased from government websites, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. And it's only been a few months since Trump has taken office. Clearly, there was a plan, or maybe a blueprint, if you will, but who gave it to him and what do they actually want? Welcome to Christian Nationalism 101.
It's true. I'm working that shit forever.
I want to make this video as accessible as possible, so I'm going to keep it at a pretty high level overview and zoom in where needed to give you examples of this ideology in action. So when I say Christian nationalism, what exactly am I talking about? Well, to be honest, it's complicated and there is not one set definition. Think about it like a house with many rooms, and just like a house, there is a foundation that everything is built on, but also like a house, there are different rooms that are distinct from each other and serve a different purpose despite being contained inside of a structure. Today, we'll take a brief tour of this house to give you a general understanding of what Christian nationalism is, in hopes that you'll be able to see why I believe it's the biggest threat to American democracy that we currently face. Let's start with the foundation, and for that we turn to the Public Religion Research Institute, one of the premier organizations researching Christian nationalism's popularity. They use 5 statements in their surveys, asking respondents to agree or disagree on a sliding scale, and these 5 statements are the foundation.
So I mean, it's only 3 minutes in. He seems pretty good, but the problem is, if he's good, then we're not going to be able to have much to say about him.
I know. Well, my other thing is, I'm just like, bro, I should just make this video. Like, he's just literally going to say what I just wrote.
you make a video. It just opens up. It's like, click the link to go to this one.
Just link this fucker's video.
Christian nationalism is built upon.
But
they
you might
are the
reach
following.
different people.
First, the U.S. government should declare America a Christian nation. Second, U.S. laws should be based on Christian values. Third, if the U.S. moves away from our Christian foundations, we will not have a country anymore. 4, being Christian is an important part of being truly American. And 5, God has called Christians to exercise dominion over all areas of American society.
He has the facial
Christian
features of a
nationalism
Muppet.
is not centered around a unifying Christian theology or doctrine. Instead, Christian nationalism is more focused on the role that the Christian God plays in America and the obligation the believer has.
Jim Henson's working real deep to move this one.
As to keep America Christian in order for God to keep his blessing on the country. If you look closely, you'll notice a unifying theme between these 5 statements: power and control, because at its core, Christian nationalism is about maintaining power and control over society and politics. So what's the percentage of the US population that would agree with these statements? Well, like most things, it's a spectrum, not a binary. PRRI found that Americans fall into 4 categories on the Christian nationalism scale: adherents, sympathizers, skeptics, or rejectors. Christian nationalism adherents either agree or completely agree with all 5 statements in the scale. This group includes about 10% of Americans. Sympathizers agree with most statements of the scale, but they are less likely than adherents to completely agree. This is about 20% of Americans. Skeptics disagree with most statements in the scale, but they are less likely than rejectors to completely disagree. This group includes 37% of Americans. Skeptics completely disagree with all 5 statements in the scale, and this group includes 30% of Americans. So the composition of America looks like this. And if you're wondering if Christian nationalism is mostly found in...
You showed me that pie chart.
I did. He's doing the same survey I did. We read the same things.
Yeah.
That's right. At least 10%.
right-wing
I always try to
spaces.
hammer that home. Because all you need, like,
Let's-
if at least 10% of people are Christian nationalists, that's fucked, bro.
35 million people.
many.
Yeah. Well, even like if we just say adults, yeah, then it would still be like
Sure.
still like 20. It's like a disgustingly high amount. And then you read like the Pew and these guys match up like pretty quick or pretty good.
Yeah.
Where it's like 27% of the Pew respondents. Let's see, what was it? I have it up. The Bible should have a great deal or some influence on the U.S. And then 27 of all U.S. adults said if the Bible conflict with the government, the Bible should have more influence. And I'm just like, okay, that like lines up almost perfectly with the 29% adherent sympathizers. Because if you're like, yeah, the Bible should have more influence on the will of the people, it's like you should be shot. Like I don't know what to tell you.
Beaten with your own book.
Yeah, like you like fundamentally disagree with the same form of government that I believe should exist. So like I don't know.
You'd be correct. According to
Oh, it's that ego imperialism. You're like, no, this is my society. This one works.
Yeah, exactly. Literally, yeah. Like get fucked. I mean, because it is like as long as you're working within democracy, it's fine. But it is like unironically, because I had to think about when is violence acceptable like so much. It is unironically like if somebody gets into power and they did start making like the Bible take precedent over like the votes, it's like okay, then you shoot that. Like unironically, like they have the power and the opinion, like you just shoot that person if they do that.
RRI's research, a majority of Republicans either qualify as Christian nationalist adherents or sympathizers, and 2/3 of Americans who most trust far-right TV news sources qualify as Christian nationalism adherents or sympathizers. The same goes for folks who most trust Fox News. Here's the good part. Most Americans disagree with or flat out reject Christian nationalism. But here's the bad part. Christian nationalists are well-funded, militant, and really do not care about the opinion of the majority.
Well, that's the other crazy thing. Is it's like 10, like, I don't know, when you combine the QAnon stats and support for violence, is it's 10% of all Americans believe that the government is run by a cabal of pedophiles that need to be violently killed and have a Christian nationalist state replace it. Like 10% of Americans believe that. That's fucking crazy.
No, it was like 6 out of 10 Christian nationals believe are QAnon, right?
Correct.
Yeah,
So what you did is you take the QAnon statements, right?
Yeah.
And you go 6 out of 10 QAnon.
Oh, wait. Like, sorry. Was it 6 out of 10 QAnon are Christian nationalists, or 6 out of 10 Christian nationalists were QAnon?
Let me see. I have it. I had the stat. I remember I did the math.
I think it was 6 out of 10 QAnon.
6 in 10 QAnon believers are
Christian
nationalist sympathizers or adherents. Okay, yeah. So then what it was it was like 17% of Americans count as like QAnon believers, like, or they have beliefs that align with QAnon. And so if you take 6 in 10 of 17%, that comes out to about 10%. That means about 10% of Americans believe that the government is run by a cabal of pedophiles that need to be overthrown in a violent storm and replaced with a Christian nationalist state.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if some of them were pedophiles, but I'm sure most of them aren't.
Yeah, no, but you have the reason I'm saying this is because they
believe it's all.
They made the statement. They say, do you strongly agree, mostly agree, mostly disagree, or strongly disagree with the statement the United States is run by a cabal of pedophiles? Like it literally, it wasn't ambiguous. It wasn't like a weirdly phrased question. It was, do you believe that the government is run by a cabal of pedophiles?
Oh my God.
And they said yes.
You know, maybe instead of at this rate, instead of a debate stream, maybe we should just have a fucking podcast.
Like, yeah, I don't know.
With the way everything goes.
I mean, no, we need to bring. I want to bring the one in somebody. That means somebody's gonna show up on the stream, and they're gonna be like, "Yes, a cabal of pedophiles."
I hope. Yeah.
Runs the government, and
we want some crazies.
We need to kill them, and put a Christian nationalist state in power. Like, 1 out of 10 people believe that.
stupid. It's so stupid.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Or sorry, it's not just a cabal of pedophiles, it's satanic cabal of pedophiles. We need to satanic.
Yeah. Satanic. It's satanic.
Oh God, there's a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, I prefer the Satanists.
Are given unlimited money by billionaires who have helped them gain unprecedented access.
Oh, we'll allow that.
I mean, it is cringe to ever be like a bunch of they're just being funded by limitless billionaires. But then you remember Peter Thiel is a devout Christian who believes democracy needs to be overthrown. So, you know, he's out there, he's doing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The current vice president of the United States' entire political career was funded by Peter Thiel, you know? Like, it's whatever.
And the levers of power in America.
And JD Vance did give lectures at the National Conservative Convention, which has promoted Christian nationalism many times and literally starts their conventions with prayers. You know, I'm just saying, I don't have a cork board yet with a bunch of lines, but it's gonna show up eventually, and I'm gonna be pointing and be like, "You see all this shit? This shit's crazy."
As soon as you get back to Cali.
As soon as I get back to California.
Like your first purchase. Your first purchase.
In politics. For the rest of this video, when I refer to Christian nationalists, I'm mostly referring to the Christian nationalist adherents who represent 10% of the population. A few examples would be Charlie Kirk, founder of Turning Point USA, Ali Stuckey, host of Relatable via the Blaze Network, Steve Bannon, founder of Breitbart, and Congresswoman Marjorie.
Yeah, I'm so out of the loop. Is Steve Bannon a Christian nationalist?
I don't know, honestly. He's like not in the Trump camp anymore, so I was like,
I don't know. I mean, he might be like anti. Well, I'm sure he's anti-Trump now, but he could still be a Christian nationalist and be anti-Trump.
I mean, he might be. He's like a big fan of Hungary, and that's like kind of a Christian nationalist state. Like a lot of people are really on like the farther right, or like really, really into Hungary right now. Like one of JD Vance's cited influences is a guy who he wrote the book like, what is it? It's like Why Liberalism Failed or something. Why Liberalism Failed. Yeah, Patrick Deneen, or fuck is it? It's not this guy. There's another guy, but there's another dude who wrote like a book on liberalism.
Is it about Hungary?
No. So basically, like you have all these books that write about like why liberalism didn't do good or like why liberalism did whatever. And then usually within that, they're going to critique like the lack of community. And whenever you're talking to a right-wing person about like a lack, okay, his name is Rod Dreher. That's his name. And whenever somebody's talking about like the lack of community, usually what they mean is gonna like in the American context, community usually just means like going to church or some shit like that.
Yeah.
And so he was like, this guy named Roger Dreher was like a big political like conservative guy, and he just like he put his money where his mouth is, I guess, and he moved to Hungary, and now he's like an advisor for like Orbán, and a lot of these guys are really against, they're pro like conservative democracy, which basically just means like a way stronger executive. Like the guy in Hungary, the dude in Hungary has like continually expanded his term limits. He can just kind of like undo the constitution. He can like fuck with the constitution when he wants. So it's one of those like, in theory, there's like a constitution, but like it can be messed with a lot. And like in theory, he can still be held accountable by other branches of the government, but
now they have not nearly enough power. Probably.
Yeah, but like compared to what we have.
Yeah.
What the fuck? His father and uncle were in the Ku Klux Klan? That's fun. I didn't know that.
Oh, I wonder if there was any influence there.
Maybe.
Let's see. I mean, I at least hope he denounces them or something.
He says proof of a terrible story that I had long suspected was true, but hoped was not. Oh, okay. Apparently he says he didn't even know.
Oh. Allegedly.
His father was an exalted cyclops in the Ku Klux Klan. Nice.
Did his father just never mention it to him?
I mean, you know what?
Maybe not. Like,
If you,
I don't know.
that would be like very understandable.
True.
To just like not like, especially if you try to get away from it and you move and you're like, I would really prefer people not know.
I'm just, I'm just imagining like he goes to one of their community meetups. You see like he has like the robot and he's like, and his wife just passes him the hood. He's like, I'll be back later.
Yeah.
And the kid's just watching. He's like, bye, daddy.
Bye.
And he puts on the hood and walks out the door. Got to make sure he's presentable in public.
Yeah, presentable to the clan.
How many brain cells do you think are in this image on YouTube that I have pulled up?
In Marjorie Taylor? Or?
Yeah, how many brain cells are within this entire screen?
Not a whole. Not a whole lot.
Not a whole lot.
Taylor Greene. Christian nationalists are
she's
extreme.
awful.
They are motivated by an authoritarian understanding of the Bible and the Christian faith. The 10% will stop at nothing to make America a Christian nation ruled by them with everyone else under their foot.
That's why we get called. Well, you're Christian nationalists. You want the kingdom to be the government. Yes. You want God to come and overtake the government. Yes.
Is this a comedian?
You want Christians to be the only ones that, yes, we do.
Yeah, it's the Christian community.
We wouldn't be a disciple of Jesus if we didn't believe that. We want God to be in control of everything.
He's phrasing this in like a comedic tone.
Yeah,
but it's
just
not.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a conservative comedian.
It's just a silly meme. You just want to overthrow the government.
Like honestly, this is ironically hilarious. Stand down, comedian. True.
We want believers to be the ones writing the laws. Yes, guilty as charged. I mean, it's funny when I meet Christians where I'm like, I'm like, have you read the Great Commission? Like, this is actually what we want.
Funny conservative and other oxymorons.
Christian nationalist adherents do not like democracy. They reject pluralism and multiculturalism, and they have no major qualms about using or endorsing violence when they deem it necessary. Just look at January 6th, for example. Like all humans, Christian nationalists have an origin story that...
I wonder what percentage of the insurrectionists were Christian nationalists. Probably pretty high, I would imagine.
I know a lot of them were QAnon. Like a huge amount.
Yeah, of course.
So I let probably like 6 and 10. There you go.
True.
Lays a foundation for how they see the world and their place in it. The story for the Christian nationalists goes something like this. America was founded as a Christian nation based on Judeo-Christian principles. Because of this, God blessed America more than any other nation in the history of the world, making her exceptional. God has a special plan for America to be a shining city on a hill for the world to see, but that's being threatened by the evil forces of liberalism, secularism, feminism, sexual liberation, Marxism, and communism. Put succinctly, America is under attack, and these forces have taken root in family, religion, education, media, entertainment, business, and government. As Christians, we have to do everything we can to bring God back to America, because if not, God will bring more judgment on the country and will no longer have a nation. Christian nationalism often conflates natural or planned tragedies with God's judgment. An infamous example of this is what Jerry Falwell, the founder of Liberty University, said when 9/11 happened.
What we saw on Tuesday, as terrible as it is, could be minuscule if in fact God continues to lift the curtain and allow the enemies of America to give us probably what we deserve.
It's a good screening.
I really believe that the pagans and the abortionists and the feminists and the gays and the lesbians who are actively trying to make that an alternative lifestyle, the ACLU, People for the American Way, all of them who tried to secularize America, I point the finger in their face and say, you helped this happen. Well, I totally concur.
For Jerry, there's a reason God allowed 9/11 to happen.
Awesome
it's
reaction.
God's judgment on a nation for allowing demonic ideology.
Wait, what?
His reaction, like most people's reaction would have been like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" The guy was like, "I concur completely. You're a genius."
I too am a wealthy white Christian.
That's right. It was God.
It's always God. Although the Mayan people were evil too. I mean, I mean, a lot of cultures have done some bad things. It doesn't necessarily mean genocide.
Yeah, don't kill them.
Granted, a lot of it was disease, but still.
Yeah, don't kill people.
Yeah.
Like it has to work reverse, right? So like if punishment's happening to all of them, that's because God's like, fuck those guys. So God hated the Mayans.
Ideologies and actions to thrive in America, which in this
Mayan
case are
calendar didn't
women's
say
rights,
shit.
gay rights, and civil rights for all Americans. Because Christian nationalism believes that America was founded as a Christian nation, they believe their religious beliefs should be privileged in the public square. I should note here that the word Christian is doing a lot of heavy lifting because Christianity is not monolithic. Christians have been arguing about pretty much everything since the origins of the religion. To date, there are 3 major Christian schisms: the Catholic Church, the Eastern Orthodox Church, and the Protestant Church. And each one of these schisms has schisms inside of it, and there's schisms inside of that. So when Christian nationalists say that America was founded as a Christian nation, that word Christian is loaded with assumptions about which Christianity is being referenced. In this case,
I think that's actually a pretty good point.
Yeah, well, and it just undermines the entirety of their idea that there's like it's like a Christian nation, because it's like, I don't know what that means, basically.
Yeah.
Because too many
it's like
versions of what that is.
Exactly, yeah.
It's a Christianity built...
So Christian nationalists
Crusades were
wouldn't even be
pretty
able to
bad.
agree with each other.
In theory, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see, but for your information, I meant the Mayans did beheadings for the sun god or something like that. I mean, the Mayans weren't really the sacrificers, I don't think. At least not much. And if they did sacrifice people, it was typically like war prisoners.
Wasn't it like the Aztecs or something?
The Aztecs were the ones that did like that. There's reported to be like a big event of sacrifices. It was, the numbers have been thrown between 18,000 and 80,000. So
okay, that's not very good. Those
and
numbers
but it was
aren't
like, but it was claimed to be over like the course of 4 days, which seems pretty impossible. So not really
I mean,
sure.
I don't know. What do you mean? Whatever. I'm not gonna sit here and split hairs about the fucking Mayans sacrificing people. I don't want to be a Mayan Holocaust revisionist. All right, like, you know what I mean?
Mayan Holocaust.
Be like, I don't know, 4 days is pretty unlikely.
Well, the thing is, we don't actually
4
have
years, 6 million.
We have kind of limited evidence.
Numbers.
We actually do have like limited evidence on it, I think, but I don't know the details. Like, it happened before Spain got there.
Okay.
I believe,
I mean, whatever. Yeah. But
so yeah, but either way, it doesn't matter anymore.
Like, I'll take the uncontroversial opinion that the Mayans, bad. Don't sacrifice people. Bad.
Bad. Just don't sacrifice people.
Yeah, cut that shit out.
Yeah. Apparently, Trump deployed the Marines. I know he deployed 2,000 National Guard. Which is also really bad to do in that situation. He also did not do it legally.
Well, I don't see any Marines, right? Oh, about 700 Marines are being mobilized.
God. Trump's just making it actively work. It's just going to be a false flag operation. It's like, it's going to be escalated, and then something's going to happen. It's like, oh, it's the rioters or some shit. Like, fuck.
I mean, I don't know. I refuse to participate in anything involving the phrase false flag, but yeah.
Sure. Sure. I'm just saying there's a chance of that.
I mean, he doesn't even need a false flag. Everyone, the right will just support him, and then because there's a lawsuit against California, and lawsuits take forever. It'll take too long, and the riots will be over by the time the lawsuit goes through. So they'll be deployed, and so you need and he's the executive, so he has control over the army and the military. So there's nothing you can do.
Well, what I mean by false flag, I'm saying it could end up being a false flag because there's already been tiny skirmishes and stuff, I'm sure.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah, so it's we don't necessarily know who started it because obviously both sides are going to say the other side started it. So
but the call to false flag has an implication.
Yeah, that there's
make something up.
I mean,
or sorry, maybe not make something up, but like purposefully construct a scenario.
Yeah.
To like go and like do something.
And
it's like maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think the moment you invoke false flag, you're like stepping into schizo territory generally.
Sure, but I could see it. But well, the problem is that it just seems way more believable in this situation. Like most cases, I probably wouldn't say that. Like for example, with like Palestine, I don't think the Hamas rockets were a fucking false flag or anything. That'd be silly.
I mean, sure, but I guess I would say just like I'm always like cautious against anything involving like the concept of false flag. 2, I don't think Donald Trump needs to do anything. Like you can just look at the videos right now. They're setting cop cars on fire. They're throwing bricks into cop cars.
Mm-hmm.
They're punching police. Like there's people punching police officers. Granted, police officers punching people. But so like the idea that under this climate, Trump needs to do like literally anything. It's just like, I don't know, just show the video of the like 5 cop cars in a row set on fire.
Yeah.
And then send it in.
The
real problem.
I think this chaos is purposefully constructed by Trump to gain power. Well, that would make it, unless I'm using false flag incorrectly, that would
false
make
flag.
Yeah. So,
I mean, to my understanding, is just false flag is like he made up something. It would be like
basically.
Like when people say like the USS Liberty was actually bombed by Israel and then they blamed it on somebody else. Like the concept of a false flag is like you create a scenario where through lies and deceit. Whereas like I don't even think Donald Trump's just too fucking stupid. He just saw that people weren't enforcing his laws and he was like, fuck those people. So he just sent in the military.
Yeah,
like,
there probably isn't anything specific.
Yeah, he's like not coordinated enough to do any of it.
Yeah, it's an interaction designed to appear as though it was carried out by someone other than the actual perpetrator.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe not entirely a false flag, but he's definitely escalating it.
Yeah, but again, he's not escalating. I don't think he's escalating it even in like a power grab move. I think he's just stupid. I think he's just a dumbass.
Yeah.
On American white supremacy and theology. That might sound
extreme,
extreme,
the riots
but
and
it's
using
true.
them to justify
Books
abuse
such
of
as
power.
The Bible Told Them So by J. Russell Hawkins, white evangelical.
Well, yeah, but he's probably blaming the start of the riots on the protesters. I mean, it might not be an official attempt at it, so I don't know. It's naive to think he's stupid.
Probably did. I don't think the cops set their own cars on fire.
Well, no, of course not. But what if?
You can look. It's not a false flag. Yeah. Most you can say is he's taking advantage of a riot to try and grow power, but that's not a false flag. That's just like political shit.
I'm certainly on the Democratic side. Like I'm on the left, like more liberal than anything. Liberal, progressive, whatever you want to call it.
You need to become a base neolib.
No, I'm not selfish enough.
Fringe.
But what started the process? Don't know.
What started the process is that ICE was trying to arrest illegal immigrants, and then because states don't have a moral obligation to help they don't have a legal obligation to help federal agents enforce federal laws. California just wasn't helping at all, and people were protesting, and so then Donald Trump was like, my laws are being ignored. So then he sent in his people, and now the protests have escalated to riots, and now he's sending in more people to go deal with them.
This happened before then. Military deployment started before that. Because I haven't been feeling well the past few days, I haven't really kept up with it, to be honest. I've been like, I did check into it yesterday to see like what was going on, how it was going, and everything. It's maybe rowdy protest at most.
Yeah, it just started as a protest. Like 100% Donald Trump was trying to deport people, like 100%.
Yeah.
And then people started to protest that. And then I think here's my hypothesis is that Donald Trump was like, "Oh, California has to help us though, right?" And then someone was like, No, actually, states are under no legal obligation to assist the federal government. And then this made him mad. And he's like, what the fuck do you mean no? It's like, well, there's like, yeah, literally. And then he's like, well, there's multiple Supreme Court acts where they don't have to help us. And he's like, but yeah, so then he sent the troops. And like, that was it. And then at some point during all of that, it became a riot.
Or there were little like skirmishes. Gotta run, but have fun. Don't forget ACAB.
I mean, ACAB cringe, but yeah, sure. You guys can say ACAB.
I mean, like,
no, there is no. I mean, like.
You said I can't, or we can.
No, I mean you can say it, but I'm just saying I'm disagreeing with your sigh. I don't like you're gonna try to insert nuance, and I'm going to try to suck out all the nuance.
No, it's the system that's really bad, and there are bad people in it, but the system also makes them do bad things. Eagle cringe.
Sure.
CHWDP. What's that? I don't think I've heard that. I actually don't know what that is. Shot it.
But I don't know. Like, I guess I would need to know what. I just like, I don't know. Most of the laws we have are like fine. Like, a lot of the things that police deal with, I think most people would agree we should deal with. It's just like, how do we go about dealing with it? Mostly.
Google it. I don't want to get banned. Okay, hold on. I will not show it on the screen then.
Paste. Things that are gonna get us banned. It's an anti-police slogan from Poland is what it says.
Oh, I mean, what is it?
Oh, you won't get banned. It means literally dick up the police's ass. Nice.
Yeah, Poland's funny. Poland's very funny.
That's awesome.
Dick up the police.
The fucking like. Does Poland count as Eastern European? I feel like it's like around. It's like an edge case. But Eastern Europeans,
they are Eastern European, well, Northeastern, but they are part of the UN. So
they're funny fuckers over in Eastern Europe.
It's true. There was Laserpig did a pretty good video about a tiny Polish warship that like went up against a full-on like German battleship. It just kept screaming, I am a Pole, and just fucking with them. It was so good. Yeah, Poland is both Eastern European, Central. Yeah, because it does kind of.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Racism by Anthea Butler and Fever in the Heartland by Timothy Egan all demonstrate this. And if you want real-world examples, ask yourself why right-wing media was against Black Lives Matter and supports Trump's illegal deportations of brown-skinned people. Why do you think Trump labels MS-13 as a terrorist organization but pardoned the very white January 6th insurrectionists who actually terrorized the nation by trying to overthrow the election results?
Okay, that's stupid. That was a dumb statement. He didn't pardon them because they were white. He pardoned them because they fucking protested for him.
Yeah.
I just don't like. I'm kind of the opinion that like modern fascist movements are like far less interested in like race
stuff.
They really don't care as much. Like, look at the Proud Boys, like, which everyone's like, this white supremacist, and you're like, okay, who's the leader of the Proud Boys? Like, I don't know, a Mexican dude. Like, okay, well, that's fucking confusing. Nick Fuentes, Mexican dude. It's like, he's a fucking fascist. How dare you interrupt me during my fascist speech? But yeah, it just feels like modern day fascism is becoming like way more post-racial. And oh no, he's gonna need to end the. Oh god, the stream's gonna be over. Oh god. Stream's gonna end. He's gonna have to leave at 5, and that's in 10 minutes.
I know.
When Christian nationalists say that America was founded as a Christian nation, they are regurgitating a key talking point that is a myth. I know that might be jarring for some of you to hear because if you were raised like I was, you were taught that America was indeed great because of our Christian heritage. But if you read the Constitution, you'll see It's very much a secular document with no mention of any religious book or deity, let alone the Christian God. And that's by design. The First Amendment is a clear statement that there should be a separation between the government and religion, and that goes both ways. If you want to deep dive on this topic, check out The Founding Myth by Andrew Seidel, also a friend of the show. But let's play along and assume that America was founded as...
He's literally me, bro. I say these things, he says these things. We need to hang out, clearly.
We need to hang out.
Yeah.
And he says you seem grumpy. Perpetually, yeah.
Me?
No. I mean, when we were watching that other video, at least.
I mean, yeah. I'm just heated. I'm a heated man.
I'm a heated man.
A heated. It's a little toastier than average.
As a Christian nation. What type of Christianity are we talking about? Well, considering that race-based chattel slavery was fully endorsed and defended by white Christian slave owners for hundreds of years, eventually leading to a civil war, I would say that even if we were founded as a Christian nation, we probably shouldn't brag about it given the horrors that were inflicted on black human beings in the name of God, with that legacy continuing on today. The fact of the matter is that without white Protestant Christianity, slavery, the KKK, Jim Crow, lynchings, and segregation do not happen. This white Christianity is the foundation that Christian nationalism is built upon. Period. That's why some scholars call it white Christian nationalism. But the myth that America was founded as a Christian nation doesn't need to be true. It just needs to be believed. Christian nationalists use this myth to defend their views today when it comes to various culture war issues, such as abortion, LGBTQ+ rights, civil rights, the environment, women's rights, and the list goes on and on and on. They believe that America is under attack and that they are in a spiritual war with real-world consequences.
It's all part of the king coming back. That's what we're practicing for. That's why hell hates it that we're worshiping at every capital across
Practice
America.
for the king. Bring on the court justice.
In their view, the God of the Bible has ordered the world a very specific way, and to go outside of the created order is to bring God's judgment on the country. Christian nationalists usually appeal to Genesis chapters 1 and 2 in the Bible to justify many of these beliefs, and I need to add that they completely misinterpret those two chapters in order to do so. This is where things can get a little more complicated, so stick with me here. Christian nationalism in many, many ways is a Christian identity, but that identity is centered around a specific cultural ideology and political framework, not a core theology. So to say this another way, what binds Christian nationalists together...
What's up?
How do you know that your interpretation's correct?
Yeah.
See, that's the problem with the Bible and why it shouldn't be a framework for a form of government is because there's so many different interpretations of the Bible. How do you know which one's correct and which one works?
Why don't you guys make your own party?
Yeah, I would love to make a liberal party, but
I want to start a religion, but like a practical religion, not like a...
Dude, I already got one, dude. Join it.
True.
Is not what they believe about specific Christian doctrines, but more about historical identity and political influence that leads to agreed upon outcomes. The Bible is pillaged for specific Bible verses that are used to justify why God condones their views on various issues. For example, a Christian nationalist...
Also, not all three of us don't like agree with each other on everything. So,
yeah.
What would it be a party of?
Liberals.
Oh, yeah. Just instead of Democrat, just make it a liberal.
Yeah,
party.
we would be like we would be like the unironic, like mostly like wouldn't be a centrist party, but it would still be like not as stupid and whatever the fuck's going on right now.
Ideally.
Yeah.
So might really cite Leviticus 18:22, which says,
"Huh."
You said really we should all just be Democrats because there's no need to fucking even like. All we would do is split the Democratic ticket and fuck that noise.
Yeah, true. Social democracy. Yeah.
do not have sexual relations with the man as one does with the woman. That is detestable. This is used as proof that being gay is a sin and goes against God's created order because the Bible is clear. And therefore, America should ban gay marriage and discourage public displays of affection between loving couples. But those same Christian nationalists will ignore Leviticus 19:19, which says in part, do not plant your field with two kinds of seed, do not wear clothing woven of two kinds of material. As you'd imagine, there is no one suggesting that either of those commands should be put into law in America. Now, you might think this makes no sense. After all, if a Christian nationalist claims to follow the whole Bible or have a biblical worldview, as many do, why can they ignore some verses over others? But there is a logic to this. There are reasons invented by theologians that give the Christian nationalist justification to assume that Leviticus 18:22 is still applicable today, while Leviticus 19:19 should be ignored. Scott Coley, the author of The Ministers of Propaganda, a great book, by the way, calls this motivated literalism. Scott says that this is a tendency to interpret scripture literally, but only when it doesn't undermine one's material interests. Motivated literalism, he says, allows evangelicals to insist that the earth and all of its contents were created in 6 24-hour days, while maintaining that Jesus didn't really intend to say that a wealthy man will have more difficulty entering heaven than a camel passing through the eye of a needle, or that Jesus didn't really expect his followers to emulate the conduct of the Good Samaritan. I'll link my full interview with Scott in the description below. Many people scratch their heads wondering how these folks can claim to have a biblical worldview, but ignore all of the verses commanding us to welcome the immigrant, love our neighbor, and to hold the rich and powerful accountable for their unethical behavior that hurts the plight of the poor. Motivated literalism is the engine behind all of this. So what do Christian nationalists want then? While they might say that they want biblical principles implemented throughout America, as you can imagine by now, that phrase is doing a lot of heavy lifting. You'd be hard-pressed to find a Christian nationalist that believes we need to welcome the immigrant, protect the marginalized by implementing systemic change through laws, or tax the ultra-rich. Based on my experience talking to experts, going to Christian nationalist events, and speaking to Christian nationalists directly, here are a few things I would say that Christian nationalists want. First, I would say that Christian nationalists want an America that is predominantly white, with little to no immigration from non-European countries. They want a nation with a national religious identity based on modern conservative Christianity. The rights of other religious minorities should be greatly reduced and would have no place in our government. Many would like to amend the Constitution to acknowledge that we are a Christian nation.
Great replacement theory. I could get him even more woke on this topic.
I mean, he might bring it up a little more in
I mean, this would have been the perfect time though, because he's talking. He doesn't know why they don't want to bring in people from.
Yeah.
It's technically speaking, it's not racially motivated. The guy who made it 100% was racially motivated, but the argument itself is more like, we can't import people who, like, one, if you're on the right, you don't want to import immigrants because they're going to all vote liberal, and so basically the argument is like it's going to destroy democracy because they'll all vote liberal. Really just means maybe you should stop having like xenophobic policies and being stupid. Maybe that's
crazy.
What?
Abolishing xenophobia, dude?
Queer people are put back in the closet, stripped of their rights to marriage. Their public existence is erased. Civil rights protections are rolled back on the basis of reverse racism. Abortions are completely outlawed in all 50 states. No exceptions. Contraceptives are greatly regulated. Free speech is greatly reduced for dissenters, and so are the rest of their constitutional rights. Men lead, of course, in all areas of life and society, while women submit to the authority over them and raise children at home. Public education is dismantled, and private schools and home.
I'd be down to be a house husband, to be honest. Not that I would get that in Christian nationalism, but you know.
Nah, yeah, sorry, they're gonna force you to be the breadwinner. You fuck me.
God damn it.
Homeschooling are instead elevated and are funded by tax dollars. Now, some of this might sound extreme to you, but look around. You can see many of these desires being enacted right now in our government. I'm not going to list them all out. That would take up the rest of this video, but seriously, just follow the news to see it happening in real time. And if you want even more examples, you can go watch my recap of my time at the largest gathering of Christian nationalists in
America Fest? Ooh, I need to look into that.
Yeah, the New Evangelicals. That's what they're called. So, I need to get going.
Yeah.
But that was fun. Yeah, I mean, this guy seems pretty good.
Yeah.
So
he
shout out
seems
to
really
the new
good.
evangelicals.
Yeah, for sure.
Hell yeah, dog.
Religious, which is goofy, but.
And then also we got Visit Squid at Deadliest Squid on YouTube and on Twitch. He's got stuff too that you can check out. He actually does have a video coming out soon that is specifically on the topic of Christian nationalism.
Mm-hmm.
So, get ready for that.
Exactly. It's gonna be a banger.
All right, peace
Hell
out,
yeah, dog.
everyone.
All right.